After getting blown up by his own team, Jinquin wakes up in a strange alley, and he is understandably confused about not being dead, trying to figure out what is even happening to him since his last memory was being caught in a massive explosion. Turns out, he was a special forces operative ambushed on a mission, but the real kicker is that his own organization betrayed them, using his squad as the coordinates for a missile strike. Back in the present, the pain is getting worse, so he needs to find cover, spotting a nearby door with a light on inside, and when he enters, he finds someone is already there. This room is not empty, and Jinquin smirks at the guy inside, who immediately starts screaming as some dark magic hits him, dropping him to the floor in an instant. A voice from outside yells for an elder brother, clearly for the guy who just got taken out. And Jinquin turns back to see the man dropped some kind of metal plate, which he quickly scoops up off the bloody floor. He has no idea what it is, but it seems important, right before two cloaked skeletons stroll in like they own the place. They spot him with the plate and decide witnesses need to be silenced, so the two Reapers immediately charge in to finish the job. Jinquin immediately retaliates, stomping one of the skeletons to the ground, while the other one sends a volley of earth spikes right at him. But in the chaos, the dead guy's brother grabs the plate and makes a run for it, yelling for help as someone opens a manhole cover for his escape. He dives straight into the sewer system without a second thought, landing below just as the fight continues raging above him. Unfortunately, he is not alone down there because his rescuer is a girl with a gun pointed right at his head. She demands to know who he is, accusing him of interfering with her brother, but all she really wants is the plate he is holding. This guy immediately hands over the plate, clearly not looking for a fight, and she takes it, her tough act crumbling as she calls him her brother. She completely breaks down, calling him an idiot for getting himself taken out, lamenting that he sacrificed himself just so she could get some kind of item. Jinquin, watching from above, recognizes her look of pure despair and casually drops that he has been reborn again. This whole scene triggers a flashback to his past life, reminding him of refugees from a war zone, specifically the faces of women he'd rescued who looked completely broken inside. They were survivors just pulled from a dungeon, supposedly being returned to their lives, but he knew they were not happy because being rescued did not fix what they'd already lost. With no homes or country to return to, they were just walking from one nightmare into another. Seeing her completely broken, Jinquin tries to offer some comfort, saying he will be her mercenary and protect her in her brother's place. She is not buying it though, telling him he is already a dead man and shows him his own hand, which is starting to look pretty gnarly from the rain. Apparently, this is the Dead City, where the dark rain is basically a death sentence, because it turns into a powerful acid that slowly eats you away. That clicks for Jinquin, explaining why his senses have been getting weaker, so he starts rapid-firing questions about this place and those cloaked skeletons. Her answers about mages and professionals only confuse him more, until she drops the bombshell that it is the year 1000 of the Flying Eagle Empire, and he is definitely not in Kansas anymore. Jinquin finally puts it together. He has been ice-guyed 1,000 years into the future, so he asks her how people even become these professionals. She is so scared of, and she explains that anyone can awaken a class by obtaining a special emblem. Turns out her brother stole this exact emblem just so she could awaken, which is why she is a wreck, blaming herself for his sacrifice as Jinquin asks about her family. But unfortunately, her brother was the only one she had left. Now she is all alone, and her only shot at survival is using that emblem herself, which hits Jinquin pretty hard since he knows what it is like to lose everything, so he offers her a deal. If he survives this, he will be her new protector, but their chat gets cut short when the ceiling explodes from the fight upstairs. This ceiling gives way, forcing Jinquin and the girl to scramble for cover, and she panics, realizing they need to awaken right now or they are both dead. So she desperately presses the emblem to her forehead to start the process, but instead of activating, the emblem just rejects her, knocking her back as Jinquin watches the whole thing go south, and he calmly explains that either her body is not compatible or she just is not qualified, which completely crushes her, realizing her brother's sacrifice was for nothing. But their pity party gets cut short when the two cloaked skeletons drop in from above, spotting them immediately and deciding there is no need for small talk, as they charge straight in, ordered to take them out and retrieve the emblem. With the skeletons closing in, Jinquin shoves the girl behind him, giving himself just enough room to make a desperate move, and he slams the glowing emblem right onto his own forehead, unleashing a massive burst of dark energy that sends everyone flying. A system window pops up, confirming a successful job transfer, revealing he is now a demon swordsman with a busted SSS rank talent. This transformation completes, leaving him with glowing blue eyes and a whole new aura, and he finally gets it. This world has status panels just like a game. This girl is suddenly his biggest fan, amazed he became an expert instantly, but the skeletons are way less impressed, stepping forward to punish him for using their stuff. This skeletons lunge forward, ready to punish him for his theft. And the girl braces for the worst, stuck on the ground, but Jinquin is already moving, deflecting their scythes with a single powerful slash, leaving the two Reapers completely stunned by his speed. He does not give them a second to recover, launching himself forward and unleashes a massive arc of dark energy right at them. They try to coordinate a defense, realizing he has already mastered the emblem's power, but Jinquin just scoffs, stopping their attack with one hand, before his own dark magic erupts, tearing through their defenses. This girl is just speechless, wondering how he got so strong so fast. Jinquin lands from the attack, already a natural with his new demon sword, and he is stunned to find the emblem's power has completely healed his body. This skeletons cannot believe they lost to a rookie, realizing they cannot report back now, but Jinquin gives them a look that says reporting back was never an option. as he unleashes another slash, promising they are not going anywhere. This dark energy tears through them, finishing the job for good. With the fight over, he tells the girl they need to leave immediately, but their only exit is the manhole high above, leaving them trapped. Luckily, she knows a secret hiding spot and tells him to follow her lead, which apparently involves using a bomb to blast a brand new exit through the sewer wall. With their new exit blown wide open, the girl is pretty shocked her plan actually worked, and she quickly leads Jinkwon through the rubble toward a staircase to get them out of there. An hour later, they have made it to a quiet, almost abandoned part of the city, where she brings him to a small building she calls her place and invites him inside. It turns out to be a messy little workshop, but it is a safe place to lay low for now, and she offers him a seat while she starts to tidy up the place a bit. Jinkwon notes that it must be hard for her to run this shop all by herself, which hits a nerve, as she sadly admits it used to be her and her brother. He immediately apologizes for bringing up her loss, but she tries to brush it off, right before the front door swings open and three shadowy silhouettes demand to know why the shop is so late opening. This girl recognizes the leader of this new crew as a warlord, and he looks seriously unhappy, who gets straight to business, asking if her brother ever mentioned some kind of deal they made. But she has absolutely no idea what he is talking about, which seems to be the answer he expected. So with a smug look, the warlord just orders his men to grab her and take her away, and his goons immediately move in, grabbing her as she struggles and yells for them to back off. But Jinkwon steps in at the last second, grabbing the warlord's arm to stop the whole thing, which obviously ticks the guy off, who demands to know who Jinkwon thinks he is while our boy just stares him down, asking what right he has to try and take the girl, and the guy scoffs, declaring that being the warlord is all the right he needs around here. But Jinkwon's new class lets him read intent, revealing this guy is not actually evil before he asks about her brother's last words. Jinkwon cuts right to the chase, asking the warlord to name his price for the girl, and the guy is surprised to see him, revealing her brother sent Jinkwon on a suicide mission to a mine pit, which is apparently filled with giant sandworms he is supposed to fight to retrieve some item, and if he succeeds, the warlord promises he will let the girl go, no strings attached. But before any deals are made, he decides to test if Jinkwon is even worthy of the task, throwing a powerful punch straight at our boy's face to see what he is made of. This girl panics, yelling for Jinkwon not to engage him because this warlord is a high-level professional, while Jinkwon just grabs a random pipe to defend himself, which is somehow more than enough to block the punch, stopping the attack cold, leaving the warlord completely stunned as Jinkwon's demonic energy starts to flare. This warlord is completely floored, realizing Jinkwon's talent is the real deal and asking if he is from the upper city, while the girl just stares, unable to believe he actually blocked a high-level professional's punch, and Jinkwon coolly asks if he is qualified now, prompting the warlord to agree to the deal despite calling him a rookie, laying out the suicide mission: kill a spider boss, wait for a flower to bloom, and bring it back to free the girl, which Jinkwon accepts without hesitation, setting the stage for a lovely 8 a.m. dungeon dive tomorrow. But then the warlord issues a citywide draft, ordering every man over 16 to report to that same pit, making it painfully clear that anyone who is late gets executed, punctuating his point by crushing a poor frog, which gets Jinkwon thinking that the brother must have known this was a death sentence all along. And he starts to suspect this whole deal might just be a trap set up by the commander, so he grabs a weapon, deciding he needs to master his new powers before walking into whatever this is. Jinkwon starts exploring his new SSS rank talent, identifying the first skill as the Netherflame God statue, so he decides to give it a test run right there in the workshop, because why not, and immediately summons a massive demonic shadow that looks like it is straight out of a final boss fight. His second talent is still a mystery, but he can feel its immense power coursing through his new sword, which he takes a moment to admire, realizing just how much has changed in an instant. He figures the best way to understand this power is to just swing it and see what happens, and a single casual slash obliterates a nearby shelf, confirming his new abilities are absolutely ridiculous. Catching his reflection, he notices his appearance has changed, looking less like a soldier and more like an idol, and the system even gave him a new name: Diwujin Quan, which is definitely not what he is used to. Shrugging off the identity crisis, he decides the priority is intel and heads out to explore the city. Half an hour later, Jinkwon and the girl are at a bar, seemingly trying to lay low. Jinkwon asks if the drinks are free, and the bartender mentions everyone's heading into Pit 1 tomorrow. This girl asks about Pit 1, and the bartender explains it is a mine where they will be mining. He elaborates that mining is for lower district people and there are sand devourers in the pit. This sand devourers dig through sand to build nests after feeding, a process miners call loosening soil. Jinkwon realizes they are being sent down to Pit 1 to be fed to these sand devourers. This bartender confirms this grim fate, and Jinkwon wishes them luck, downing his drink. He then clinks glasses with Jinkwon, a seemingly friendly gesture before the real danger. Suddenly, a furious man named Lee Hongyu bursts in, yelling about filthy, lowly insects. Lee Hongyu demands to know where the emblem he wanted is, clearly furious about its disappearance. Meanwhile, Lee Hongyu gets a report that the thief's body is gone and their accomplice blew up the sewer to escape. And he is absolutely furious, demanding his men find the emblem no matter what it takes. So if someone's already used it, his brilliant plan is to just start killing people one by one. His subordinates are obviously concerned, but another officer tells them to just do what the young master says because they have a deadline to mine a special ore for the powerful Eagle Legion, which gives Lee Hongyu an idea. The thief must be among the draftees, so he orders a scan of everyone. This next day, the entire drafted population is being loaded onto trains like cattle, with officers barking orders to hurry up and get on board for the mining operation, leaving the crowd a mix of despair and anger, knowing they are being marched to their doom. And right on schedule, Lee Hongyu and his crew show up to make sure every last person is accounted for. Lee Hongyu kicks off the search, ordering his men to scan every last person on the trucks. And they are using a special device that detects psionic energy, guaranteed to find the emblem's user. So with their boss yelling at them to hurry, the guards start moving through the crowd, while Jinquin watches them approach, knowing he is the exact person they are looking for, and he tries to keep a low profile, hoping his new powers do not set off their scanner. But the guards are just shoving people around, forcing them onto the already packed train, causing a huge crush of bodies as everyone struggles to get on board. And amidst the chaos, a mysterious hooded individual seems completely unfazed by the commotion, who is holding some kind of dark energy crystal, which Jinquin immediately senses, and our boy looks around, suddenly feeling a powerful wave of malice from somewhere in the crowd. That wave of malice turns out to be the pure desperation of the crowd being crushed together. With everyone packed so tightly they can barely even breathe in the chaos, people start screaming that the train is full and others are being trampled in the crush right before some armed goons show up, clearing a path and telling everyone to freeze. Jinquin plays it cool, putting his hands up just like the rest of the draftees as Lee Hongyu makes his grand entrance, politely asking for his lost treasure back. Our boy immediately realizes this cannot be a coincidence. The guy is here for the emblem. Since nobody volunteers, Lee Hongyu just smirks, deciding he will have to search for it himself, prompting his subordinate to deploy a little spider drone scanner from a wrist device, which immediately zips toward the crowd, heading right for the one person who has what they want. This spider drone starts its scan, with Lee Hongyu promising a swift end for whoever it finds. But it zips right past Jinquin, somehow detecting absolutely zero spiritual energy from him, leaving our boy just as surprised as anyone that his new power is completely undetectable. So the drone just keeps on moving, scanning the rest of the terrified draftees, and after clearing a few more people, it finally zeroes in on that mysterious hooded guy, where it suddenly starts blaring, having detected a massive spike of spiritual energy, which makes Lee Hongyu absolutely ecstatic, thinking he has finally found his target, while the hooded guy completely panics, having no idea why he just got flagged. And before he can even react, the drone fires a sharp projectile straight at him, tagging him right in the shoulder and taking him down in front of the entire crowd. Lee Hongyu grabs the hooded guy, demanding he hand over the stolen item right now. And he makes it very clear the poor dude is not going anywhere until he gets what he wants. So the guy desperately begs for his life, offering up a purple crystal he had on him, which Lee Hongyu immediately recognizes as just some common cursed crystal. And in a fit of rage, he shatters the worthless junk all over the floor before ordering his men to just keep scanning the rest of the draftees. But the drone finds absolutely zero spiritual energy anomalies in the entire car, leaving Lee Hongyu completely baffled and furious that his thief got away. So with no other leads, he just tells his men to move on to the next car. 5 hours later, the train finally arrives at the desolate mining pit. Jinquin looks out at the desolate landscape, realizing they have finally arrived at the infamous Pit 1, and another draftee confirms the guards already bylaid, leaving them completely on their own now, who then panics, explaining the train is a one-way trip into the deepest, most monster-infested part of the mine. So while that guy desperately tries to pry the doors open, Jinquin decides he has seen enough, figuring he cannot afford to wait around and become monster food, so he makes a break for it, and with a running start, he just leaps right off the speeding train into the unknown below. He lands in a massive cavern filled with glowing red crystals, looking like a proper dungeon entrance. And with zero intel on this place, our boy admits a guide would be incredibly helpful right about now. When right on cue, one of the giant red crystals nearby starts glowing ominously, unleashing a sudden blast of energy that slams right into him before he can even react. Jinquin dodges the energy blast with ease, barely breaking a sweat from the sudden ambush, and after landing, he realizes that attack definitely was not from some random monster. So our boy calls out his would-be assassin, telling him to stop hiding and come out. Instead of a civil chat, some goon with goggles leaps out, screaming and swinging a blade, which Jinquin blocks with one hand, casually noting they are doing this the hard way, leaving the attacker completely stunned that his full power swing was stopped cold. With barely any effort, Jinquin completely overpowers the guy, pushing his blade back, and slams him face first into the cavern floor, ending the fight in about 2 seconds flat. He immediately puts his sword to the guy's throat, clearly not in the mood for games, and just like that, the tough guy starts begging for his life, claiming he had no choice. Jinquin stops the guy cold, demanding to know who he is and why he attacked, and the dude, Cheng Zio, admits he was starving and planned to make our boy his next meal. Cheng Zio explains that getting a class emblem down here means either a lucky monster drop or looting some rich kid, but warns that those same rich kids will use you as monster bait just for fun. This only survival strategy is to hide for 2 weeks and pray for rescue, which is basically a death sentence, and leveling up is a joke since the bugs in Pit 1 start at a whopping level 11, confirming that everyone sent down here is just meant to be monster food. And right on cue, a massive insect swoops in for an ambush, forcing them both to dodge, which the system identifies as a level 9 red blood mosquito, a seriously nasty-looking bug. And while Cheng Zio freaks out, Jinquin just calmly notes the place is already crawling with monsters. While Cheng Zio is screaming for them to run for their lives from the giant mosquito, Jinquin just calmly steps in front of him, completely unfazed by the sudden threat. And with a single clean slash, he one-shots the bug before it can even react, leaving his new acquaintance absolutely speechless at the display of overwhelming power. This guy cannot believe his eyes, stammering about how Jinquin just took down a red blood mosquito, so he immediately drops to his knees, begging to become our boy's loyal subordinate. Jinquin's response is brutally honest. He has absolutely no use for any dead weight. But before Chang Zhao can even process that rejection, a massive energy surge erupts nearby, revealing a much bigger problem. A level 15 crystal ore bug bursting from the cavern floor. And for the first time, Jinquin actually looks concerned, realizing this is a whole new level of danger. Instead of running, Jinquin leaps right onto the massive bug's back, while Chang Zhao gets knocked away, screaming for his life in midair. But our boy just casually snags him by the wrist, pulling him out of harm's way, and after tossing him to safety, he turns to face the roaring crystal monster, which lunges forward with its giant pincers, ready to crush him on the spot, but Jinquin is already sizing it up, realizing its high defense is useless against his speed. So with a smirk, he charges in, his blade glowing with a menacing red energy, unleashing a high-speed assault that leaves afterimages in his wake. And he calls out his signature move, 3,000 flows, as he blitzes the monster, landing a devastating final strike that shatters its crystalline armor completely. This system confirms the kill, instantly boosting Jinquin all the way to level 6 for that high-level takedown, and he immediately realizes this place runs on pure video game logic. The bigger the level gap, the better the rewards. As the monster's body crumbles, he confirms that high risk, high reward is the only way to get ahead down here, so speaking of rewards, he reaches down to claim the loot that just dropped from the boss. Turns out it is an equipment emblem for some heavy armor, offering a nice boost to attack and defense, and his first instinct is to try and equip the shiny new gear right away, but the system immediately shuts him down, informing him he does not meet the level requirement to use it. Jinquin is genuinely surprised to find out there are even level restrictions on equipment in this nightmare world, so deciding to worry about gear later, he shifts his focus back to the immediate priority, scouting and surviving. Unfortunately for him, scouting reveals a dark cavern absolutely packed with glowing red eyes staring right back at him. Jinquin barely has a moment to breathe before he is surrounded by a whole swarm of crystal bugs. And the cavern floor absolutely erupts with dozens of them skittering right towards him. But instead of panicking, our boy just smirks, seeing them as the perfect targets for grinding X, so with a grin he taunts the horde and charges straight into the fray without a second thought. He immediately one-shots the first bug, with the system confirming a clean kill on a monster 9 levels higher, and he does not even slow down, carving a path right through the middle of the insect swarm. As system notifications just keep popping up, confirming he is getting 100% efficacy on every single takedown. After clearing the mob, he hits level 10 and immediately checks his new advancement conditions for his class, while Chang Zhao watches from the sidelines, completely stunned by the absolute massacre he just witnessed, and Jinquin loots a Beetle Knight emblem, realizing his own swordsmanship emblem must be in this pit too. His victory lap is cut short by a surprise acid spit attack from the darkness, forcing him to dodge as the corrosive blast sizzles past his head. And when he lands, he finally gets a look at his would-be ambusher, a massive level 25 crystal ore bug king, a literal tier 2 raid boss. Jinquin actually looks concerned for once, admitting this thing is serious trouble, and while Chang Zhao screams for them to run, the bug king charges right at them. But instead of retreating, our boy spots a pack of equally nasty-looking wolves nearby, which gives him a truly terrible yet brilliant idea for turning the tables. He immediately sprints right between the two monster groups, making himself the perfect bait, and the Bug King falls for it, firing its acid spit right at the angry wolf pack instead. This Bug King's acid spit sails right past him and slams directly into one of the unsuspecting wolves instead, which immediately turns the entire enraged wolf pack against the giant insect, leaving Jinquin to smirk since his aggro transfer gambit worked perfectly. His new plan is simple. Let the monsters fight it out while he waits for a chance to land the killing blow, and the wolves oblige, immediately swarming the Bug King's massive armored body, though the bug's acid is still a major problem, taking out one of the wolves on contact. But the rest of the pack just keeps piling on, creating the perfect chaotic distraction. With the Bug King completely overwhelmed, Jinquin finally sees his opening to strike, so he leaps in from above, bringing his sword down for the decisive final blow. As the wolves keep the Bug King busy, Jinquin drops in from above for the kill steal, and the resulting explosion confirms the boss has been officially deleted from the server. That takedown boosts him to level 11 and rank 2, though he is already focused on leveling faster, admitting the wolf baiting plan was necessary as he strolls over to claim his well-deserved loot, which includes a blue emblem for some high-agility boots, a pretty solid find for him. This other drop is a purple staff emblem, totally useless for a swordsman, so he just pockets it. But just as he is done looting, a massive explosion suddenly rips through the cavern nearby, putting both him and Chang Zhao on high alert, realizing someone else is here. In the distance, a huge swarm of bats flees from whatever just caused that fiery blast, leaving Jinquin to wonder what fresh new disaster has just arrived in the neighborhood. Jinquin hears someone screaming at the bat swarm, telling them all to just go die already, and a sudden blast of ice-cold energy takes out one of the monsters mid-flight. which makes our boy pause, realizing that panicked voice sounds incredibly familiar. Turns out it is some red-haired guy with a crystal sniper rifle, looking completely exhausted, who knows he is totally trapped and figures it is only a matter of time before he is overwhelmed. He's been cornered by two boss-level monsters this whole time, leaving him with no escape route, a pair of level 19 vampiric green Bat Kings just waiting for him to make a move. Deciding he'd rather go down fighting than just wait to die, the sniper takes aim and fires a concentrated beam of blue energy straight at one of the Bat Kings, but the boss just casually swats the attack away with a burst of fire, completely unimpressed. This sniper realizes he is totally hard-countered, his ice rifle useless against their fire attacks, and refusing to accept it, he braces as the monsters dive right for him, with both Bat Kings closing in, ready to finish him off for good. Leaving the poor guy to close his eyes, accepting this is probably the end, until a flash of red light suddenly deletes one of the bosses, leaving him absolutely stunned. And who else but Jinquin strolls up, casually greeting the guy he just saved, who cannot believe his eyes, asking if he really just soloed two bosses like it was nothing. He gratefully shakes Jinquin's hand, admitting he owes him his life for that save. So Jinquin offers to lead him out of the pit, but then he spots something down below. Turns out the other Bat King was not alone, it is guarding an entire nest of them. This last Bat King roars, powering up into a fiery level 20 version of itself, and while the sniper is understandably panicking, Jinquin looks completely unfazed as the monster immediately dives straight for them, wreathed in a blazing inferno, closing the distance in a literal heartbeat with a devastating charge. Jinquin shoves the red-haired sniper out of the way just in the nick of time, as the Bat King unleashes a massive wave of fire right where they were standing. He tells the guy to find an escape route while he holds the boss off, and the sniper provides some cover fire, his ice blast clashing with the monster's flames. This sniper yells for them to retreat, but Jinquin just smirks, not moving an inch. Because even though it is a super strong, fusion-type boss, our boy is pretty sure he knows who is really in danger here. Jinquin sees the charging boss not as a threat, but as a giant bag of experience points, so he charges right back at it, blade glowing and ready for a head-on clash, which makes the sniper think our boy has a serious death wish for trying to face tank a boss, but Jinquin is already midair, bringing his sword down for a devastating strike. Only for the Bat King to unleash a massive shockwave of pure fiery energy, which sends Jinquin flying backwards, completely stopping his momentum, and he admits this thing is way tougher than the last boss he fought, so he decides it is time to bring out the big guns, activating his Netherflame God statue, summoning a massive blue-flamed spectral warrior to fight alongside him, and this new summon immediately lunges forward, spearing the Bat King right in the chest. This red-haired sniper is completely stunned by the summon's sudden appearance, recognizing the signature blue flames as something he thought was impossible, and he realizes Jinquin must be a descendant of a legendary family that was supposedly wiped out. Jinquin, now level 15, is already complaining that taking out 3 bosses only got him 4 levels, so he turns to the sniper and casually asks if he is a class holder or just a normal person. This guy sadly explains he used to be a class holder before he was tricked and lost his powers, leaving him to barely survive with just his high-tech rifle. Jinquin is immediately intrigued by the idea that a class holder can be turned back into a regular person, and the sniper boasts that he is probably the only one to ever survive the process, revealing it involves a poison called the Death God's Flower that corrupts a user's class emblem. This sniper explains he was the untalented heir who inherited a powerful class emblem, only to be betrayed by his own people, and Jinquin immediately pegs him as a deposed crown prince, but the sniper fires back that they are both in the same boat. Turns out this guy knows Jinquin's family was thought to be extinct and that the Tianqi Empire would freak out if they saw him, so Jinquin is understandably confused, prompting the sniper to drop some serious ancient history about his lineage. He reveals Jinquin's ancestor was an SSS rank legend who awakened the Netherflame God statue talent 1,000 years ago, leaving our boy stunned to learn he has such a powerful bloodline, but then he remembers the sniper called his family extinct. This sniper clarifies that his family fell from grace, failing to produce a high-rank successor for centuries. Just as they are having this heart-to-heart, a glowing light from the boss's corpse catches their attention, which turns out to be a blue-tier equipment emblem for a Bat King's blade, a pretty sweet saber drop. Jinquin is absolutely thrilled to finally get some decent swordsman gear, much to the sniper's surprise. Without a second thought, Jinquin just crushes the emblem in his hand, immediately materializing the brand new Bat King's blade right in front of him. He is pretty impressed with the quality, even wondering if he could fuse it with his own sword. But first, he decides to give his shiny new toy a quick test run. He gives it a single swing, unleashing a massive arc of red energy, and he is genuinely surprised by the insane speed bonus it gives him. Holding both his old blade and the new one, he gets that fusion idea again, so with a smirk, he decides to just go for it and see what happens. He slams the two swords together and they immediately start glowing and merging, leaving him completely shocked that his wild experiment actually worked. Jinquin admires his newly fused sword, realizing the impromptu experiment definitely enhanced it, so the sniper offers him that purple staff emblem, but our boy just dismisses it as low-level trash. This red-haired guy warns him that kind of ambition will not last long without allies, which is exactly why he wants to cut a deal with Jinquin right here and now. He pulls out a legendary grade class emblem for a heavy artillery controller, explaining it is a super rare long-range class that is essential for any serious team. Jinquin is immediately suspicious, questioning if the emblem is actually legendary, so the sniper gives him a quick rundown on the 8 tiers of rarity, from common to mythic. He offers to trade this priceless legendary emblem for a single favor in the future. And when Jinquin threatens to just take it, the sniper smirks, confident they are the same kind of person. Turns out the sniper's family were the original owners of this mine, and he has got the old map to prove it, sweetening the deal by promising his map is a VIP ticket to rank 3 with minimal risk involved. Jinquin sees the appeal since rank 3 would make him untouchable, so he finally asks what the catch is. And the favor involves a special monster called an Abyss Scythe Rat, which has the innate ability to open abyss fissures. This deal is simple. Jinquin just needs to get the rat to open a fissure and they are square, so the plan is to hit rank 3, then use that crazy summon of his to threaten the rat into opening an escape portal. With leveling now the top priority, Jinquin asks the sniper if he knows the location of the resentment spider matriarch. This sniper is understandably shocked, asking why in the world he'd want to mess with that particular monster. So Jinquin explains he needs a special flower, which prompts the sniper to reveal exactly why his family abandoned this mine. Turns out that Spider is a rank 3 level 39 overlord in a restricted zone, basically a suicide run for anyone under rank 4. Jinquin lays out his terms. He will help with the rat, but he wants the map and all the spider intel. And the sniper agrees without a second thought, sealing their new partnership with a handshake. With their deal struck, the two of them venture deeper into the treacherous mine. This red-haired guy warns him about level 18 scorpions that burrow and ambush people with their tails, and right on cue, a massive stinger erupts from the ground, aiming straight for Jinquin's back, prompting the sniper to yell out a frantic warning, thinking our boy is about to get skewered. But Jinquin just casually parries the attack without even turning around, completely unfazed. Its sneak attack thwarted, the giant scorpion bursts from the ground, roaring with frustration. Jinquin just tells his new partner to get back, warning him not to get caught in the crossfire as he gets into a ready stance, clearly seeing this monster as just another ex-piñata. With a single clean swing, Jinquin's new sword carves right through the giant scorpion. And the sniper notes that its hide is a healing item, which is perfect timing, since he is pretty injured and could definitely use the patch-up. But before he can even move, another scorpion bursts from the ground to avenge its fallen friend, knocking the sniper off his feet and leaving him completely vulnerable as the monster looms over him, roaring and ready to strike him down. Jinquin instantly blurs into motion, crossing the distance in a heartbeat to intercept. Yelling for the monster to stay away from his new partner as he brings his blade down, and he slams his sword right into the second scorpion's back with brutal force, only to look up and see he is now facing an entire swarm of them. Without a moment's hesitation, Jinquin unleashes a massive cleaving strike into the heart of the scorpion's swarm, telling the sniper to get clear while he holds the line against the entire horde. And our boy dives headfirst into the sea of monsters, his new blade a total blur, carving through their tough carapaces like they are made of absolute paper, which immediately nets him a system notification and a level up to 16. Jinquin cannot help but smirk, realizing these tier 2 monsters are just walking experience points for him now, leaving his new partner completely floored, wondering how a tier 1 player has this much raw power. But before Jinquin can gloat, he spots a weird-looking plant monster up ahead. So the sniper frantically warns him that those are level 25 regenerating lords with a specific weak point, and right on cue, the plant thing roars to life, lunging straight for him with a mouth full of teeth. Jinquin easily dodges the lunge, already bringing his blade down on the plant's weak point, and he cannot help but smirk, thinking this monster's weakness is a little too obvious, leaving it completely defenseless as he prepares to land the finishing blow, which he does with a single, clean slice right through the monster's core, causing the plant to let out one final, agonizing shriek as it is torn apart, before it completely explodes in a shower of gore and plant matter. This nets him a level up to 18, leaving the sniper completely baffled by his strange but effective sword technique. And as he marvels at the clean cuts, 2 new item crests appear from the monster's remains. This first drop is a purple tier 2 healing ring that also comes with a handy storage space, while the second is a blue tier priest skill that provides an area of effect heal and damage reduction. This sniper notices something odd about Jinquin's attacks, asking if he has a debilitating skill, which he explains is an effect that completely shuts down an enemy's ability to heal or recover, pointing out how the wounds Jinquin leaves on monsters just seem to melt away instead of closing. Jinquin just plays it cool, internally crediting the effect to his unique garbled talent bonus. Changing topics, the sniper asks if he has ever tried to unequip a crest, which our boy has not even considered. Turns out you cannot. Crests are permanently bound to a user and only drop upon death, making them a part of you. With Jinquin's power level now clear, his partner tells him it is time to hunt a real target, a tier 3 lava behemoth. Their next destination is a massive, fiery cavern, a clear step up from the enemies they have been fighting. This behemoth is a sleeping tank, but the sniper needs the lava fruit from its lair to lure out the Abyss Scythe Rat with a new, high-stakes objective on the table. The duo heads off to take on a proper boss. They arrive to find their target, a massive tier 3 lava behemoth lord sleeping peacefully, and the sniper explains this level 39 monster is the second strongest boss in the entire mine, so Jinquin asks if it is vulnerable while asleep, which it is if you can actually break its defense. Naturally, our boy's brilliant opening move is to just chuck a rock at its head, which bounces off with a pathetic little tink, doing absolutely nothing to the behemoth. His partner just sighs, pointing out the monster's defense is as insane as he warned, so done with the warm-up, Jinquin draws his new sword and leaps straight down for a real attack, which is just enough to finally wake the behemoth from its nap, its eyes snapping wide open. Before it can even react, Jinquin brings his blade down in a single, devastating overhead strike, and he splits the Tier 3 boss clean in half with one absolutely ridiculous swing. Jinquin gets a system notification confirming his successful Tier 1 advancement for that ridiculous kill, leaving his new partner absolutely speechless, unable to process how a level 18 player just did that. And as the behemoth's body dissolves, it explodes into a massive shower of high-tier loot drops, where our boy immediately spots an orange epic crest, knowing he has hit the absolute jackpot. This main prize is a rank 3 orange greatsword with insane stats and a meteor slam ability, which is part of a full purple tier molten lava armor set that also dropped from the boss. With all that new gear waiting, Jinquin decides to check his own advancement progress, only to find he has hit level 20 and is now hard stuck until he finds a swordsmanship emblem. Meanwhile, the sniper finds the molten lava fruit he needed, cheering about his new shot at destiny, so Jinquin asks if he knows where to find an emblem since he has officially hit his level cap. This sniper explains swordsmanship emblems have a terrible drop rate unless he is fighting monsters way above his level, so he asks what kind of build Jinquin is aiming for, and our boy immediately says agility. But his partner shuts that down, suggesting he should go for a constitution build instead, which Jinquin internally scoffs at, thinking tanky swordsmen are useless compared to actual knights or assassins. This sniper cuts him off though, pointing out that Jinquin is a completely special case, since his Netherflame God statue summon totally negates the usual weaknesses of that build. Seeing the logic in that, Jinquin agrees and just asks where they need to go to start farming. His partner lays out 3 potential farming spots: the Drywater Mines, Ghostwood Valley, and the train terminus, figuring if they can clear all 3, Jinquin will have enough emblems to hit rank 3 pretty easily. With their new plan set, their journey takes them toward a place called the Lower City. Meanwhile, in a much fancier part of town, some rich guy is throwing a fit over a missing emblem, and despite his men telling him it is impossible, he is ready to tear the whole city apart to find it. But his plans hit a snag when his subordinate reports that other young masters from the Upper City are moving in, which sends him into a rage because no one is supposed to enter the area without his permission. He is worried the thief will team up with these new rivals, but his underling points out he is not powerful enough to stop them. This little reality check leaves him absolutely fuming, completely powerless to control the situation, so after taking a moment to cool down, he decides to make a very important phone call. He gets his second uncle on the line, demanding to know exactly where the stolen item is. But the guy on the other end just gives him a lame excuse about a birthday party, promising to be back soon. This call cuts off, leaving the young master staring at his phone, realizing he has just been completely blown off. Done waiting, the rich young master decides it is time to force the issue himself, so he calls up an old acquaintance, demanding they stop the rivals from the Upper City, but the guy on the other end basically says he is not taking the fall for this mess. Declaring his own innocence and confirming the thief's escape route is a dead end, then he drops the intel that the target is in Deadman's City before hanging up cold. Elsewhere, another young master consults his elderly attendant about their own search for a stolen item, and the old man offers some classic words of encouragement about how the family head has faith in him, before admitting their chances are actually terrible and the family head is already chasing another lead. And speaking of results, a system notification pops up for a player who just killed a boss 9 levels higher than them, revealing a new mysterious guy who lets his injured companion take the monster's horn since he already found what he needed. This mysterious new player finishes off the high-level boss with a flourish, and as the monster dissolves, it leaves behind a pretty sweet skill emblem, which turns out to be a purple tier rank 2 charge attack called Blade of the Army Breaker. And thanks to his unique swordsmanship, he can learn skills 1 rank above his current level, so he immediately absorbs it, getting a system notification and a slick new purple aura. He instantly tests out his new lightning-fast dash skill, leaving his partner in the dust, moving so quickly he is just a blur of pure destructive energy. His companion is stunned by his insane growth rate, but the guy's already focused on his next advancement. So his partner points him towards some tough underwater monsters called bone-eating fish, and his brilliant strategy to fight them is to just summon a magical fishing rod. His companion suggests using monster meat as bait, and he immediately casts out his magical fishing line, getting a massive bite almost instantly as the line goes completely taut. What erupts from the water is a huge level 23 bone-eating fish, all teeth and aggression, which the swordsman dodges with 0 effort, casually sidestepping the monster's lunge. That 1 kill is apparently all he needed, immediately getting a system notification for advancing to Tier 2, and his status window confirms it, revealing his name is Diwoo-jin Kwon, a level 21 demonic swordsman. He is pretty pleased with how smooth that was and decides to check out his newly enhanced skill, which turns out to be an orange tier ability called Blade of Ruin, a devastating charge and strike combo. With the farming done for now, his partner calls him over to a campfire to finally take a break. Diwoo-jin Kwon compliments his cooking, joking that he could probably run a tour group with those skills. Diwoo-jin Kwon asks his partner about the state of the world, curious about its true scale. and his companion explains that humanity is still exploring, with no one knowing the actual borders. He lays out the local power structure, three major empires that only respect absolute strength, which he says is the only way to actually be free in this unforgiving new reality. But he is not optimistic about their future, revealing a massive beast tide is forming on the border, one he believes will wipe out the empires and usher in a chaotic, wandering era. Suddenly remembering, he warns they need to avoid the tour groups that might be entering the area, and right on cue we cut to a train pulling into the station for one of those exact groups. On board, some rich guy complains about the delay, but his friend just mocks his low level. A third guy then joins in, roasting the first for a past injury and for chasing after some girl. This guy's clearly still salty about getting his legs broken over a girl. But the woman in question, Jai Linger, immediately tells both of them to knock it off. With the bickering over, she gives the order for their entire party to move out, while the long-haired dude internally vows to stick close so they do not trade away a certain emblem. Back at the campfire, the sniper explains these tour groups are just rich kids looking for thrills, and with their break over, he decides their next stop is Ghostwood Valley for some leveling. This valley itself looks like a pretty grim and dangerous place to be farming, and his partner confirms it is crawling with high-agility slicing blade mantises. He hands Duo Jin Quan a special bomb that releases sticky filaments to slow enemies down, laying out the plan to trap the monster lord and then clean up the parasites that spawn from it. This sniper explains his class is a blood-flesh mechanic, and he needs to kill the parasites to advance his gun. Which is news to Jinquin, who had no idea weapons could even be leveled up. His partner then drops the bombshell that his gun is actually his former guard, refined into a living weapon after dying for him, and he needs a 100% efficiency kill on the monster lord to guarantee a skill drop for it. Before they can move, something blurs past Jinquin at insane speed, catching him completely off guard, revealing a slicing blade mantis that is already lunging in for a surprise attack. But before it can land a hit, the Netherflame God statue instantly materializes to block the strike, effortlessly parrying the mantis's blades and sending the monster reeling backward. Jinquin is not amused by the sneak attack, calling the monster's move a death wish, and he immediately slices it in half, earning a 100% efficiency kill on a high-level mob. Jinquin is stunned the mantis's attack was strong enough to actually damage his Netherflame God statue. So his partner immediately yells for him to fall back, recognizing the real threat is just starting. As predicted, the defeated mantis's body dissolves, releasing a swarm of smaller parasites from its remains, which is the sniper's cue to step in, telling Jinquin he has got this part handled. He fires a specialized ice round from his rifle, creating a massive burst of frost on impact, and he seems pretty satisfied with the freezing effect of his custom ammo. But as the dust settles, it is clear the parasites are still coming, swarming out of the smoke, and the newly spawned monsters let out a collective roar before charging straight at them. Jinquin readies his sword, not about to let his partner handle this mob alone, and he leaps forward to meet the charge, bringing his blade down on the first parasite in his path. With the parasites swarming him, Jinquin does not even flinch, while his partner frantically yells for him to get out of the way. But our boy just ignores him, summoning the Netherflame God statue instead, activating its power as he dives straight into the enemy mob. He immediately unleashes a devastating whirlwind of slashes, getting a system notification for killing 3 high-level monsters with 100% effectiveness. As their bodies dissolve into dark energy, this sniper just watches, admitting he was worried for absolutely no reason. Jinquin's focus, however, is already on the last remaining parasite, and he instantly dashes forward to finish the job. Jinquin easily dispatches the last parasite in front of him, only to realize the rest of the mob is still very much a problem. So without breaking a sweat, he winds up for another massive swing, unleashing a ground-shattering skill called Troll's Earthrending Slash, and the attack rips through the entire swarm of parasites in a single move. Seeing his opening, he moves in to clean up any stragglers, his blade effortlessly carving through the remaining monsters, which is enough to get him a level up, all thanks to his bug talent that makes every slash unblockable. But just as he is celebrating, something massive deflects his attack out of nowhere, revealing the actual monster lord, a giant purple mantis that is clearly not impressed. Jinquin barely recovers from the ambush, admitting the hidden boss almost took him out. So his partner immediately yells for him to use the special bomb they brought for this exact situation. Without a second thought, Jinquin pulls out the device and hurls it directly at the massive mantis lord. This bomb detonates midair, unleashing a web of glowing red filaments which instantly wrap around the monster, completely immobilizing it. Seeing their plan worked, the sniper shouts for him to finish it now, and Jinquin leaps high above the trapped boss for a final decisive strike. He brings his blade down with incredible force, slicing right through the Monster King, which nets him a 100% effectiveness kill and a level up to 23. This Mantis Lord drops 2 skill emblems, one purple and one orange, a pretty solid haul for one boss, with the purple one being a tier 3 skill called Flying Wing 3-stage slash, a high-speed dash attack, but the orange one is even better, Demonic Wing 3-stage slash, which adds low-altitude flight to the combo. With these, Jinquin now has all the skills required to advance to Tier 3, he just needs the levels. His partner thanks him since that perfect kill on the Mantis Lord was exactly what he needed too, revealing his living weapon has finally advanced to Tier 1, which is a huge step up for him. This sniper points out Jinquin is the one who should be celebrating, asking how many more levels he needs for his own advancement. And our boy casually says he only needs one more level to hit his next major milestone. So his partner decides to take him to the perfect spot for some quick and easy exp grinding, leading him to a field of docile tier 3 oxen that will absolutely stampede if you so much as look at them wrong. His partner warns that these oxen have a group buff that makes them insanely durable, and the usual strategy involves using mages and traps to slow down their stampede. But since they are short on resources, their only option is to carve hidey holes into the rocks, which is risky because the oxen can use an earth prison skill to seal them inside, but Jinquin, completely unfazed, just tells him to stand back and watch this, before instantly carving out a perfect little cave for them with a single sword slash. And with their escape route secured, his partner gets ready to kick things off, giving Jinquin the signal before taking aim at the unsuspecting herd. And he fires off a specialized round that explodes right in the middle of the group, which predictably gets their attention and sends the entire herd into a furious rage. This entire herd of enraged spinel bulls stampedes directly towards their makeshift hideout, and from his perch, the sniper yells for Jinquin to brace himself for the incoming chaos. Jinquin, however, is perfectly calm inside his little rock cave, totally confident in his handiwork. As predicted, the oxen unleash their earth prison skill, causing the ground to erupt around him, which completely encases the entire rock formation in a crystalline prison, sealing him inside. Stuck in the dark, Jinquin admits his partner's warning was the only thing that saved him from being flattened. His partner knows this is their opening, since the bulls need a cooldown after that massive skill. With the herd momentarily stalled, the field is wide open for a devastating counterattack. So Jinquin winds up his own earthrending slash from inside the stone prison, before shattering the wall with his blade of ruin, bursting out to meet the herd head-on. Unleashing his skill, Jinquin carves a massive arc of destruction right through the stampeding herd, effortlessly slicing through the spinel bulls that were supposed to be an unstoppable force. His partner is just floored, realizing Jinquin is chaining skills at a speed he cannot even follow. And he admits that even with his own SSS rank talent and mythic gear, he'd be no match. From his point of view, our boy is not just a fighter. He is a complete monster, and the system agrees, rewarding him with a clean level up to 29 for the trouble. This sniper cannot believe his whole strategy was unnecessary, while Jinquin just asks if there is a boss, but his partner confirms this herd does not have a lord, which is a small mercy. Instead, he points out the real prize. The corpses contain valuable spinel bezoars for detoxification, and he immediately gets to work harvesting the loot since these things are worth a fortune. Jinquin gets hyped about their loot, and his partner confirms the bezoars are worth a fortune, but he warns they need to leave fast before the scent of blood draws in more monsters, which is exactly what Jinquin wants since he is only one level away from his class advancement. So his partner just sighs and points them toward a route with enough mobs to get the job done. And after absorbing the skill emblems from the last fight, Jinquin is ready to go, leading them through a massive underground cavern with what looks like old railway tracks, explaining their destination is a refuge nest in the central area where monsters are most dense, which turns out to be the feeding ground for a giant silkworm that traps other monsters for them to hunt. Meanwhile, a high-tech train speeds through a similar-looking tunnel somewhere else in the dungeon, carrying a group of wealthy socialites toasting to their adventure, led by a guy from a construction family. Meanwhile, on that luxury train, a rich guy named Zhu Jiangxing toasts to his little adventure, while his group of socialites are just here for the thrill, totally oblivious to the real dangers, and one of them is already complaining about being bored while staring out the window. But outside, Jinquin and his partner are shocked to see the train at all. It is 2 weeks early. As the train passes, the bored guy from inside locks eyes with Jinquin's partner and both of them completely freeze, clearly recognizing each other from a past life or something. This guy on the train, Zhao Liubai, starts panicking, thinking he has just seen a ghost. His friend tries to calm him down, but Liubai is absolutely convinced he saw someone he knows. Ignoring everyone, he pries open the window and straight up leaps out of the moving train, landing on the tracks and frantically searching, swearing he saw 2 people out there. Back on the tracks, Zhao Liubai's friends are completely baffled by his sudden meltdown, but he is absolutely certain he saw someone he knows, questioning why they never returned home. Meanwhile, Jinquin asks his partner if that rich kid on the train actually recognized him. And the sniper confirms it. That is the young master of the Tian conglomerate, a dark priest in disguise. Turns out his family secretly holds a third mythical profession, and that kid was the one who synced with it. But as they are busy sharing intel, thin white threads suddenly erupt from the ground around them, instantly wrapping both of them up and yanking them helplessly into the air. Jinquin realizes they walked right into an ambush, which his partner identifies as a silver thread silkworm's trap, pointing out the massive cocoons hanging from the ceiling are the monster's personal food supply. And clearing them out should be just enough X for Jinquin's advancement, so our boy powers up for a fight. With the clock ticking, his partner tells him to clear out this monster pantry before the main silkworm gets back. So Jinquin immediately unleashes a storm of slashes from inside his silk prison, which absolutely shreds through the cocoons and every monster trapped inside them. This system confirms a bunch of perfect kills, but unfortunately it is still not quite enough X to level up. As they land back on the ground, freed from the trap, his partner realizes what they have to do next. Since the appetizers were not enough, it is time to go hunt the main course, the silver thread silkworm itself. This only problem is finding it, so the snipers start scanning the area for any sign of the boss, quickly spotting a network of thin warning threads that act as a tripwire for the silkworm's nest. Jinquin, who has never heard the word stealth in his life, just walks straight through them, deliberately snapping the threads and basically ringing the dinner bell for the boss to come find him. Jinquin barely flinches as the massive silver thread silkworm bursts from the ground. And this thing is absolutely enormous, clearly the boss of this whole nest, which immediately lunges forward to attack with a massive stinger, prompting his partner to yell a desperate warning from the sidelines. But our boy just tells him to stand back, powering up his blade for a counter, unleashing a single, devastating slash that connects before the monster can even react. And just like that, the entire silkworm is sliced clean in two. This system confirms a perfect kill on a Lord monster, which is enough to hit level 30 and finally meet his advancement conditions. His partner points out he is now ready to advance to tier 3, so Jinquin asks what their next move is and the sniper reveals his true target, the Abyssal Kametachi, a monster that requires a pincer attack to even wound. This sniper lays out their next targets, a sand devourer swarm and a spider mother, to force open an abyssal channel. And after tossing Jinquin his payment, he explains they will part ways once the job is done, leaving our boy completely stunned to be holding a legendary profession emblem, who questions getting paid before the mission is even finished, but the sniper just says he promised, explaining that if he succeeds he will not need it, and if he fails he definitely will not need it. And as they head off, a new group of suits walks through the same area, right past a massive slash mark on the wall, with one of them wondering why the path is so eerily quiet, with no monsters in sight, while his buddy jokes that maybe the mine slaves kept them fed, before warning about a giant maw worm ahead. But as they round the corner, the entire group just freezes in their tracks, finding the giant maw worm already sliced in two, a clean, instantaneous kill that leaves them speechless. The suits are left staring at the clean cuts on the worm, impressed by the sheer power of the technique. So their leader just shrugs and redirects them to their next target, the molten giant. But as they proceed, they find that monster is also already dead, its massive body cooling in a lava pit, which completely baffles his subordinates since the giant was rumored to have impenetrable defense, and one of them decides to test that rumor by pulling out a combat knife for a closer look, only for his blade to completely shatter the second it makes contact with the giant's hide, proving that even its corpse is ridiculously durable, which only deepens the mystery of who killed it. And the leader explains that even a tier 3 mythic class with SSS rank talent and full epic gear could not do this, especially since the giant had a massive territory buff linking its life force to the entire area, leading his subordinate to a terrifying conclusion: they need to leave immediately because the killer might be a legendary tier 7 master. His subordinate suggests they cut their losses and leave since their targets are already gone, but the leader refuses to go back empty-handed, deciding to explore deeper for a new prize. Meanwhile, Jinquin and his partner are already fighting their way through a swarm of giant worms, with our boy effortlessly slicing through the horde of crimson tumor worms with his blade, and the system confirms he is clearing them out with 100% efficiency. But as he finishes off the last of the minions, a much larger threat emerges from the ground, forcing his partner to yell a warning about the Crimson Tumor King that just ambushed them. This sniper immediately provides backup, firing a specialized round to slow the boss down, which hits its mark and makes the giant worm roar in fury, turning its attention to Jinquin, who just smirks and powers up his sword, clearly unimpressed by the oversized monster. He does not even hesitate, unleashing a final decisive slash against the giant Worm King, and the system confirms another perfect kill, wiping the boss off the map instantly. Jinquin notes the terrible drop rate, realizing how impossible it is for normal people to level up, so his partner tells him to get used to his new tier 3 power while he scouts ahead. But our boy says he is already good, deciding it is time to try out some new gear. Specifically, the full molten set he's been saving for this exact moment. In a flash of fire, he equips a ridiculously powerful-looking set of orange armor, which leaves his sniper partner completely speechless at the sudden power-up. This guy recognizes it as a 200-star set, a level of gear he has never seen, and Jinquin confirms that just one piece has already made him feel several times stronger. His partner is completely floored, explaining Jinquin's stats are so high he has already hit the 100-star rank at just tier 3, which is basically a visual flex based on gear score that should scare off any sensible opponent. And with the power-up explained, they decide it is time to head for the Sand Devourer's nest. But just as they start walking, Jinquin suddenly collapses to the ground, and an hour later they are crawling out of a cave into a forest, looking totally exhausted. This sniper is coughing up a storm, complaining about the suffocating air but glad they finally found an exit, only to emerge into a clearing that is an absolute graveyard filled with massive piles of bones. He immediately identifies the place as the hunting grounds for the abyss sickle rats, so Jinquin just cuts to the chase and asks what their next move is, and his partner pulls out a strange-looking fruit, explaining he is going to plant the bait. He sets up a small mechanical drone, placing the strange fruit right on top, explaining it is a molten fruit, the abyss sickle rat's favorite snack, second only to eyeballs, and with all the human remains scattered around, he is confident the rats will come for a feast. This little robot then dutifully carries the bait out into the open clearing, scuttling across the bone-littered ground to set the perfect trap, while Jinquin and his partner watch patiently from behind a large rock. Jinquin questions if this will actually work, so the sniper explains the rats have powerful stealth skills, but the fruit contains a fire element that will instantly break their concealment once they take a bite. Our boy finally understands the brilliant strategy, realizing it is a perfect counter, and right on cue, a shadowy rat with a massive sickle claw appears out of thin air to take the bait. Jinquin is ready to jump in, but his partner tells him to wait until the rat is fully exposed. While the little drone just holds the bait steady, waiting for the invisible monster to take a bite, and sure enough, the fruit starts getting eaten by absolutely nothing, confirming the rat is there, which makes the sniper smirk, knowing the trap is about to spring and the real show is starting. Just as planned, the rat bursts into flames, its stealth completely broken by the fruit's fire element, and with the target revealed, his partner gives the signal for Jinquin to go finish the job. So our boy leaps forward, summoning a massive blue energy construct to slam down on the monster, unleashing a devastating slash that brings the full weight of his power down on the helpless rat, and the creature lets out one final scream as the attack completely overwhelms it, leaving his partner absolutely stunned, asking if that was an SSS rank skill he just witnessed. Jinquin's SSS rank skill connects, but instead of a clean kill, it just sets the rat ablaze, which somehow manages to escape, leaving our boy completely baffled by its sudden disappearance. So his partner warns him that these rats are notoriously cunning, and it is definitely still hiding nearby, before pulling out a special grenade with a brand new plan to flush the monster out, which he immediately tosses into the clearing while telling Jinquin to get back. And as the device goes off, the two of them dive for cover from the impending blast. But instead of a normal explosion, the grenade summons a swarm of giant worms from the ground, which immediately start roaring and writhing in the flames left behind by the device, and then begin spitting a substance to extinguish all the small fires in the area, revealing the sniper's brilliant plan. The worms hunt fire, and the still-burning rat is now their main target. This worms immediately lock onto the flaming rat, swarming it just as the sniper predicted, and they begin relentlessly attacking the monster, pinning it down with their sheer numbers, leaving the rat completely overwhelmed and unable to escape the worm horde's assault, which gives the sniper a perfect opening to pinpoint its location for the final strike. So Jinquin immediately leaps in, unleashing another massive slash to finish the job, but as his attack connects, a strange purple gate suddenly materializes behind the screaming rat, and the system confirms a perfect kill, somehow leapfrogging 7 levels in the process. The sheer force of the blow sends the monster's remains flying right into the mysterious portal, which makes the sniper panic, realizing Jinquin overdid it and the abyss gate will now close, but right on cue, a swarm of shadowy crows starts pouring out of the closing gate instead. But instead of closing, the portal solidifies into an ornate gate with a shadowy crow perched on top, leaving Jinquin completely baffled by this sudden turn of events, who immediately asks his partner if summoning a giant door is his actual talent, and the sniper just smirks, confirming his power is directly tied to the abyss, revealing his talent is called Abyss Commander and the crow is his personal guard. Jinquin says opening this gate is more than enough help, insisting he has to walk the rest of the path alone. So the sniper wishes him well, but not before suggesting they start a business if he makes it back alive, and our boy actually agrees, joking that he will be the leader while the sniper can be the narrator, which gets a genuine laugh out of his partner, who seems to actually like the idea. And with their business concluded, Jinquin gives a final farewell before turning to leave. With a final "see you later," the sniper gives Jinquin a parting smile, and promptly steps through the abyss gate, which vanishes right behind him. Jinquin is left alone, thinking this might be the last time they ever meet, when suddenly a glowing object gets tossed his way, a parting gift from his partner. This system reveals it is a lucky gold coin, a special accessory that boosts his luck stat, leaving our boy completely stunned to be holding such a rare piece of equipment. He takes a closer look, realizing this could be a total game changer for his drops, and decides it is time to put this new luck stat to the test immediately. Spotting a nearby group of giant worms, he charges in to see if they will drop anything good, and the monsters roar as he unleashes his first attack with his newfound luck. This new luck stat immediately triggers a lava splash effect on his sword, which engulfs the worms in a fiery explosion, confirming the coin was a massive upgrade. With the small fry cleared, Jinquin heads for his real target in a frozen wasteland, pulling out a map that leads straight to the resentful spider matriarch's nest. He arrives at a massive, cavernous lair made entirely of ice and jagged spires, but it turns out he is not the only one here. Another team is already exploring the nest. One of the new guys is busy kissing up to his boss, calling the frozen victim's art, even suggesting they use the spider boss's corpse as a centerpiece for an exhibition. This sycophant promises to spin a heroic tale of his leader's victory for some easy clout, while the rest of the team gets serious, knowing this monster has not been beaten in 300 years. This team's leader smugly explains his Tier 4 brother is way too important to slum it in a Tier 3 dungeon, adding that all the real heavy hitters avoid this place, making the rumors of its danger totally overblown. His blue-haired teammate cuts in, reminding everyone to focus on the spider boss before any side hustles, so the leader just claps his hands and casually calls for the food to be served, which turns out to be a group of unfortunate souls being marched forward as live bait. Their handler wastes no time forcing them toward the cave entrance with a crack of his whip, sending the poor guys stumbling into the darkness to lure out whatever's inside. The second they are in, the leader orders his own team to block the exit, sealing the bait's fate, and just as planned, a swarm of giant purple spiders pours out of the darkness, ready to feast. This leader just grins, powering up with dark energy and getting ready to enjoy the show he just orchestrated. This team leader tells everyone to watch as he dives into the spider swarm, ready to show off, and he unleashes a powerful purple slash, carving a path through the smaller monsters, absolutely tearing through the cannon fodder without breaking a sweat, which makes his blue-haired teammate identify his legendary Blood Rage Warrior class, while the guy himself is just loving the chaos, clearly getting a kick out of the fight, but his victory lap is cut short when a much larger shadow emerges from the darkness, and a massive, furry leg suddenly swats him out of the air like an annoying fly, leaving the rest of his team completely frozen in shock at what just happened. As the true boss, the resentful spider matriarch finally reveals itself, and from a safe distance, Jinquin also recognizes the legendary monster they have just provoked. But just in time, another guy in glowing pink armor appears, looking way too confident, who immediately declares he's going to toy with the boss before charging straight in, and his flashy axe attack clashes directly with one of the matriarch's massive legs, though it barely seems to leave a scratch on the monster's tough hide. Still, he taunts the spider, asking if that is all it has got while preparing another strike, only for the matriarch to effortlessly swat him out of the air like a fly, and before he can even recover, it unleashes a powerful blast of icy energy, instantly flash freezing the cocky warrior solid in a block of ice. His blue-haired teammate can only scream his name, Zhu Jiangsheng, in absolute horror as the spider boss looms over its brand new, permanently installed ice sculpture. But instead of being scared, the team leader powers up, absolutely thrilled to finally face a real fight, while the spider matriarch lets out a furious roar, clearly not impressed by his enthusiasm. His teammates immediately open fire, trying to provide some much-needed covering fire for their boss, though their bullets just seem to bounce off the monster's hide, barely even scratching it. Ignoring the useless backup, the leader leaps high into the air with his massive purple axe, and he screams out the name of his ultimate skill, Mad Blood Decapitation, for everyone to hear. His attack connects right on the spider's face, creating a massive flashy explosion which actually seems to work, cracking the matriarch's head and sending it stumbling back. He lands triumphantly, mocking the so-called 300-year crisis as nothing special at all, and with a psychotic grin, he declares himself the #1 hunter of the new generation. But after all that grandstanding, the monster only drops 2 pathetic blue emblems, which sends the leader into a rage, complaining about the absolutely garbage loot, while his entire crew just stands there watching him throw a fit over the rewards. His blue-haired teammate finally calls him an idiot, explaining he only killed a gatekeeper, but the leader just smirks and tells everyone to wait for the real show to start, cryptically mentioning that the real fisherman has not even arrived yet. Still, he kicks the emblems in frustration, cursing the so-called matriarch for dropping trash, until his subordinate finally corrects him, revealing his skill identified the monster as a frost guardian. This entire team freezes, realizing a guardian means a much stronger domain lord is nearby, and all that confidence immediately evaporates as everyone starts screaming to run for their lives. This team leader throws a fit on the ground, but his little tantrum is immediately interrupted by a much bigger problem, as the true domain lord finally appears, a colossal crystal spider that makes the last one look like a pet. And just to make things worse, the entire team is now completely surrounded by a fresh swarm of its angry children. Meanwhile, Jinquin finally arrives at the dungeon entrance, totally unaware of the disaster unfolding inside. Realizing that other tour group beat him here and he needs to find a special flower before they do, so he checks his map, planning to use his molten lava set to exploit an elemental weakness, and with his route decided, he wastes no time heading straight into the monster's lair. Of course, he is immediately greeted by a welcoming party of red-eyed spiders lurking in the darkness, but Jinquin just smirks, completely unfazed that the local mobs have already locked onto him. Because to him, they are just a walking pile of experience points as he leaps into the fight. His spiders immediately swarm him, letting out a furious roar as they charge forward, but Jinquin just effortlessly carves through them with a single devastating slash, mocking their weak defenses as he cuts down the entire welcoming party without breaking a sweat. Meanwhile, the other team is having a much worse time, completely surrounded by the real crystal spiders. And with their leader still throwing a tantrum, the rest of the crew starts to panic, until the blue-haired woman's bodyguards step up, vowing to create an escape path for her. One of them takes aim with a massive grenade launcher ready to make an opening, and he unloads a huge explosive round right into one of the crystal spider's faces. This blast actually works, flipping the monster over and giving her a brief window to run. But as she escapes, she looks back in horror, screaming for her guards to look out. Her bodyguard's heroic stand is immediately challenged by a roaring crystal spider, which lunges forward before they can even mount a proper defense. And in the next instant, they are both taken down by crystal spikes erupting from the ground, leaving the blue-haired woman to watch in absolute horror as her protection vanishes. Finally done with his tantrum, the team leader decides to rejoin the fight, actually managing to land a solid hit on one of the smaller crystal spiders, only to immediately yell at his teammate for not doing anything to help him out. In response, she just calmly summons a literal military-grade tank out of thin air, which wastes no time firing its main cannon directly into a monster's face, leaving the rest of the team completely floored, realizing she is a legendary mechanist. This sycophant who was kissing up earlier is now having a full-blown panic attack. as he is left on the ground, completely helpless before the charging crystal spiders, and one of the spiders lets out a furious roar before unleashing a wave of freezing energy, instantly turning him and the rest of the bait into a lovely new ice sculpture collection. Meanwhile, the team leader is desperately trying to carve a path through the swarm, but he is immediately knocked off his feet by a powerful blow from a spider. And before he can even recover, a crystal spike erupts from the ground right under him, which he tries to shatter with his axe, but it barely even leaves a scratch, leaving him completely stunned and finally realizing just how outmatched his team is. At that moment, the mechanist shouts a warning that something is moving underneath them. That warning comes a second too late as a crystal spike erupts from the ground, launching the leader into the air. And a system window confirms this is a level 45 domain lord, way out of their league, which lets out a furious roar, unleashing a massive wave of freezing energy across the cavern, instantly tearing through the rest of the bait and some of their own teammates, forcing the leader and the mechanist to finally accept they need to run for their lives, with the so-called number 1 hunter admitting he is completely outmatched and needs to retreat. But just as they are about to be cornered, another hunter with white hair suddenly appears, who reveals he used explosives to blast open an escape route just for this occasion. So the mechanist turns to the leader with a smirk, offering a quick apology for what is next, and then promptly tosses a grenade at his feet, using him as bait to cover her own escape. That grenade sends the so-called number 1 hunter flying, eating a face full of ice. And before he can even recover, crystal spikes erupt from the ground to finish the job, leaving him to curse the mechanist's name as her shadowy summon looms over him. This summon wastes no time, pouncing on the leader and ending his little tantrum for good, while the mechanist just walks off, coolly remarking that he got exactly what he deserved. Unbeknownst to them, another group of hunters has been watching their entire escape from a distance. And though the escapees are not their main targets, they are under orders to keep tabs on everyone. So following their young master's command, they decide to split up and give chase anyway. Meanwhile, Jinquin effortlessly one-shots a Woodvine Spider Lord that is 15 levels above him, scoring an orange potion blueprint and purple gauntlets, actual good loot. Meanwhile, the white-haired hunter who made the escape route smirks, thinking he has gotten away clean. But his moment of relief is shattered by a desperate cry for help coming from behind him, and he turns to see his own teammate has been caught and surrounded by the crystal spiders, leaving the poor guy screaming for his life as a swarm of shadow monsters closes in. But just in the nick of time, Jinquin swoops in and yanks him out of danger, immediately unleashing his own fiery blue ruinous slash right into the monster horde, which completely incinerates the entire swarm in a single devastating wave of energy, and a system window confirms he just one-shot a monster 10 levels above him with perfect effectiveness. This hunter he just rescued can only stare in absolute shock, wondering who this powerhouse is, while Jinquin just casually turns around and asks the guy if he can still walk. This guy he just saved can barely get out a thank you, still completely rattled by the whole ordeal. And he asks if Jinquin really soloed that entire swarm, but our boy just walks off, saying he will crush anything in his path. Realizing this guy is his golden ticket out of here, the hunter decides his best survival strategy is to become Jinquin's shadow, so he immediately runs up and begs to follow, offering to do anything and even trying to kneel right there on the spot. But Jinquin stops him mid-grovel, telling him a man should not kneel so easily. A nice sentiment that is immediately interrupted by a massive crystal spike erupting from the ground right under their feet. This hunter absolutely panics as the ambush comes out of nowhere, while Jinquin just casually shatters the entire thing with a single unimpressed hand chop. His new tagalong is left completely speechless, staring at the glowing fragments in absolute shock, finally realizing he is latched onto someone who operates on a completely different plane of existence. Just as the guy starts to feel safe, a whole swarm of crystal spiders bursts out of the ice right in front of them, and it is not just a few. It is an entire army of the things, all looking ready for a fight. While his new companion panics about being cornered, Jinquin just steps forward to block the path, calmly telling the guy to hide behind him while he draws his massive blade, before warning him not to drag down his leveling grind because this is just a good farm. With that, he unleashes his demonic Wing 3 stage slash right into the horde, sending out a flurry of devastating red and black energy waves. He dives straight into the middle of the swarm without a hint of hesitation, effortlessly weaving through their attacks like they are standing still, and begins carving them up one by one with absolute precision. After clearing the entire swarm, he casually picks up a shiny new skill emblem from the wreckage. While his new fanboy realizes these monsters, which wiped his elite team, were just cannon fodder for Jinquin. Turns out the drop was an epic grade skill called Solar Judgment, a ridiculously powerful fire attack, and all that exp also pushes him to level 35, with him crediting his lucky coin for the insane loot. He goes to use it, but his swordsmanship mastery offers to convert it into a demon sword skill instead, an offer he immediately accepts without a single shred of hesitation. This triggers a sudden vision, throwing him into some kind of demonic throne room from the past, where a shadowy figure on a throne introduces himself as Urx, the Lord of the Evil Blade. This Urx guy declares he is about to make an example out of a captured angel to prove his might, vowing that his blade will cut through all falsehood as a vortex of power swirls around him. This vision continues as Urx unleashes a devastating slash of green energy, seemingly striking down the captured angel to prove his point about absolute power. Jinquin snaps back to reality, wondering if he just witnessed a skill's lore or the world's history. This system confirms his new skill is Urk's Judgment, a legendary ability with an instant death effect. His new companion is completely stunned by the legendary rank, while Jinquin knows this is a game changer. This just confirms for the tag-along that he absolutely made the right call sticking with this monster. Meanwhile, the other group of hunters is still running through the cavern, trying to stay out of trouble. One of them suddenly spots something up ahead and shouts a warning to their leader. They stop in their tracks, seeing two lone figures standing in a massive, eerily quiet clearing. And they are confused because there are no monsters chasing them, which makes no sense at all. As the hunters cautiously advance, one of them suddenly realizes they have walked right into a trap, but his warning comes way too late as they are both sent flying into the air, snatched up by a massive tentacle monster that just burst out from under the ice. This leader manages to twist around midair, swinging his sword with everything he has got, and he successfully slices through the tentacle that was holding him captive, which immediately dissolves into a mess of green goo as he starts to fall. He crashes to the ground, barely managing to catch his breath after that close call, thinking to himself that if he had not reacted instantly, they would have been done for. But his moment of relief is shattered by a knife suddenly being pressed against his neck. Turns out it is the other hunters who have caught up and now have both of them dead to rights. This leader of this new group calmly addresses the two hunters he just captured, asking them a very simple question about whether or not they'd like to live. They immediately recognize him as the infamous young Master Zhao, which explains their sudden terror, and Zhao gets straight to the point, demanding to know who they were chasing and why. With a knife to his throat, the hunter spills everything about being hired to watch the rich kids on the train, which just raises more questions for Zhao, who wonders why anyone would be afraid of that interaction. One of his men gets a bit too aggressive with the interrogation, demanding to know who gave the order, and the hunter screams that it was the Shengwei conglomerate, which Zhao connects to the Fang family. This captive is stunned. Zhao knows about the unknown emblem, realizing he is the one they were meant to find. Having gotten a satisfactory answer, Zhao unleashes a dark aura, clearly done with the conversation. This captured hunters desperately plead for their lives, swearing to Zhao that they are telling the absolute truth. But instead of finishing them off, he raises his staff and unleashes a massive wave of purple energy, which slams right into them, leaving the two guys bracing for the inevitable end. Except it is a healing spell that instantly patches them up, leaving them completely baffled. Zhao then calmly tells them to go report everything to their master, even offering his help if needed. So the two hunters thank him for his mercy and immediately book it out of there. One of his men questions letting them go, since they are now convinced Zhao is the one they are after, but Zhao explains his real goal is to use them as messengers to start a war between the families. Elsewhere, Jinquin has found himself a new toy, a gluttony spider domain lord, and leaps into battle, effortlessly one-shotting the boss 4 levels above him with perfect efficiency because of course he does. His new tag-along nervously asks where they are going, so Jinquin casually drops that he is hunting the spider matriarch, which sends the guy into a full-blown panic about why anyone would actively look for that kind of trouble. But Jinquin just tells him to leave if he is scared, making it clear he does not need a follower, and the hunter quickly realizes that walking out of here alone is a complete death sentence. So he immediately switches gears, calling it an honor and trying to sell himself as a useful epicrank priest, which actually gets Jinquin's attention, who asks if the kid is from the upper city, and he explains he was a lower city prodigy who got scouted after awakening an S-rank talent, admitting his high level is just from being power leveled and he is now stuck before a class breakthrough, a term that is completely new to Jinquin, who asks him what that even means. So the hunter explains it is a ritual using altars to assimilate monster power and break human limits. This priest explains this whole breakthrough ritual is about literally fusing monster power into your body for a massive stat boost. So Jinquin, who has never heard of this, immediately asks what the deal is with the altars he mentioned, which are basically guild totems that only major factions and conglomerates actually possess. Meaning you either have to join a big shot legion or if you are ambitious, find a rare legion token to start your own. And by rare, he means the entire empire only has 5 of them, held by the top dogs like Shengwei and Flying Eagle. Jinquin, who is not exactly the join a club type, asks if there is a solo player option for this whole process. And turns out there is. You can hunt a powerful monster lord and hope it drops a spirit bead that does the same job. Having proven his worth as an encyclopedia, the priest gets permission to stick around as they finally reach the spider matriarch's lair, where Jinquin immediately senses more monsters blocking the entrance, because of course the welcome mat is a fight. Eager to finally contribute something, the priest offers to light the way, tossing a little fireball into the darkness ahead. That little fireball immediately reveals a massive shadow spider guarding the entrance. And the priest absolutely loses it when he sees it is a full-blown domain lord. Jinquin meanwhile just tells him to chill out, calling it just a few lord monsters, which leaves his companion wondering what kind of lunatic calls these things insignificant. Without another word, Jinquin just grins and charges straight into the fight, effortlessly carving the massive spider clean in half with a single, brutal slash. This system confirms another high-efficiency kill on a higher-level monster, and he gets a drop. He picks up a dark purple orb, wondering what this new item actually is, and the priest immediately identifies it as an ultra-rare shadow bead, the exact spirit bead they just talked about. But their celebration is cut short by a massive roar from deeper in the lair, promising to eat them alive. This ground suddenly erupts beneath them, sending both Jinquin and the priest flying. And as they crash back down, the entire cavern continues to shake violently, leaving the priest completely disoriented from the ambush that came out of nowhere, while Jinquin quickly recovers, looking up to see who is responsible for the welcome party, spotting a woman slowly rising from the icy floor in the center of the lair. This new arrival comments on how appetizing Jinquin looks, which is definitely not a compliment. Before her face twists into a monstrous grin as she vows to devour him whole. With a laugh, she transforms into the massive level 40 spider matriarch, the overlord they were looking for. His companion is absolutely losing it, realizing they have stumbled right into the main boss room, and he frantically warns Jinquin that her spiderlings can infinitely resurrect as long as she is alive. Jinquin, completely unfazed by the overlord, just charges straight into the fight. So the spider matriarch immediately unleashes a devastating wave of dark energy to meet him head-on, which sends our boy flying backwards as if he just got hit by a freight train, getting completely swallowed up by a massive vortex of pure destructive power. His companion absolutely loses his mind, screaming in horror as he watches Jinquin get overwhelmed, convinced that his new protector just got one-shotted by the very first attack. This matriarch just scoffs at the ant-like human, clearly enjoying her apparent victory, but through the icy aftermath, a lone silhouette proves he is not quite done yet. Jinquin emerges with a grin, admitting that this boss is actually a real challenge for once, revealing he survived by summoning a defensive nether statue at the very last second. Jinquin breathes a sigh of relief as his nether statue shatters, admitting that was a close one. But the matriarch gives him no time to recover, launching a barrage of golden energy spikes, and she is completely stunned when Jinquin moves so fast he just blinks right through her attack. He appears directly above her, ready to deliver a devastating downward strike from the air, bringing his sword down with full force and seemingly slicing her clean in two. This attack connects perfectly, cleaving straight through the boss without any resistance whatsoever. So Jinquin lands with a cocky grin, thinking this overlord was not so special after all. Except instead of a body, she just dissolves into a harmless puddle of water on the floor, leaving our boy completely baffled as the water begins to swirl and reform around him. His priest companion finally screams a warning that she can turn into liquid to dodge attacks. This water reforms around Jinquin, shaping into a giant hand ready to swat him like a fly. So he realizes his only shot is to catch her off guard and dives right through the watery mass, finally piecing it together that she must have split herself just before his sword connected, leaving him basically swimming through the boss, which is definitely a new experience for him. And instead of panicking, our boy is actually getting a massive kick out of the challenge. But his fun is cut short when the matriarch traps him inside a crushing vortex of water, which immediately makes him regret his overconfidence as the pressure starts to build, and the water begins to constrict around him, putting him in a seriously tight spot, forcing a pained grunt out of him as the immense force threatens to overwhelm him. But instead of breaking, he unleashes a massive shockwave of his own power from the inside. That water prison immediately shatters as Jinquin blasts his way out with pure force, which only seems to annoy the matriarch as she starts to reform from the puddle, smugly declaring that he cannot possibly escape from her grasp. And to prove her point, she summons an entire army of her spiderling children, leaving Jinquin to face down a literal tidal wave of monsters. With a single command, she sends the whole swarm charging right at him, and the horde immediately descends on our boy with overwhelming numbers, completely burying him under a mountain of angry, skittering legs. Until a flash of dark energy suddenly bisects one of the spiders, revealing Jinquin has turned into a human blender, carving his way out of the mob. Jinquin just smirks from inside the mob, revealing he was never actually trapped to begin with, admitting his weakness was just a clever act to bait her real body out of hiding. With his trap sprung, he unleashes a devastating counterattack that rips through the cavern. And the matriarch finally realizes she has been played, with absolutely no time to escape, as his blade connects perfectly, slicing her clean through before she can even react. She can only scream in disbelief as the overwhelming power completely consumes her, getting vaporized in a massive explosion of green energy that marks the end of the fight. His priest companion is left speechless, realizing Jinquin just played the overlord like a fiddle. And the system confirms another high-efficiency kill on a boss 5 levels above him, dropping a legendary gold rank necklace with some absolutely broken stats and skills. Jinquin inspects his loot, realizing he also snagged a legendary emblem from the boss drop, which immediately erupts in a massive pillar of light that shoots straight into the sky, and the system confirms it is a legendary Legion token, one of those ultra-rare guild creation items, leaving our boy completely floored that something this valuable actually dropped from a single boss, while his priest companion is having a full-blown aneurysm over their absolutely insane luck. So when the system asks if he wants to bind it, Jinquin immediately accepts becoming its commander, and the token begins merging directly into his body, wrapping his arm in golden energy, unlocking some absolutely busted perks like a 30% stat boost for all members and even fast travel, confirming it is a guild creation tool, though he notes the member count is pretty limited for now. But just as he is processing all this, the ground beneath him suddenly cracks open with red light. Jinquin realizes the red light signifies a mythical tier drop, the absolute pinnacle of this world, and the system reveals 2 new items, the Book of the Gods Messenger and a dimensional crystal. Before he can even process the loot, that dimensional crystal floats right up to him. prompting a system window that offers him complete ownership of the entire dungeon. Pit 1. Figuring he has nothing to lose, our boy immediately hits yes just to see what happens, and a massive wave of energy washes over him as the system confirms his supreme authority. He can now see everyone else in the dungeon, feeling he could wipe them all out with a thought. But just as he is enjoying his new god mode, a flash of red energy catches his eye nearby, making him turn to see what else could have possibly spawned from the boss kill. And it turns out to be a spirit resentment flower and another vengeful god bead. Jinquin inspects his latest haul, realizing the flower is a much rarer version than he anticipated, and his companion confirms the matriarch must have evolved it, making it a top-tier item. So with 2 spirit beads now in hand, Jinquin offers one to the priest for his class breakthrough, which completely floors the guy, not because of the gift, but because Jinquin is suddenly level 39. This priest explains his own breakthrough is a pain, requiring a blood bond with a powerful teammate, clarifying that without a same-level ally and an altar, his support class is basically a dead end. So Jinquin, being the practical guy he is, just cuts his own hand and offers his blood on the spot, an act of generosity that earns him a very grateful boss from his new #1 fan, who immediately rushes forward to accept the offer as Jinquin holds out his hand, and the priest bites down to seal the pact, with Jinquin feeling the bond form instantly. This system kicks off the binding process, sealing their blood pact with a flash of golden light, and as it finalizes, Jinquin sees the dimensional crystal has transformed into a glowing cube. With golden energy now coursing through him, the priest asks if the binding was actually successful. So Jinquin tells him to use the cube's energy to finally activate the hidden altar they need. Without wasting a second, our boy slams the cube right onto the icy floor to get things started, which immediately causes the entire cavern to shake as the ground beneath them begins to rise. A massive stone structure erupts from the depths, shattering the ice platform they were standing on, and it keeps rising until a full-blown ancient building is revealed right in front of them. His companion is completely stunned, asking if this massive cathedral is the altar he mentioned earlier, and Jinquin confirms it is, ready to use the spirit bead to see what this place can do. They step into the massive altar, ready to finally get this class breakthrough started, when a giant, unamused-looking frog statue suddenly materializes right in the center, which immediately demands a payment of 500 spirit crystals to proceed. This priest is absolutely stunned by the insane price tag for his own advancement, admitting to Jinquin that he is completely broke and cannot afford it. He explains it is a high-tier currency, and this altar's fee is hundreds of times the normal cost. So with no other options, Jinquin recalls that tour group of rich kids nearby, deciding they are the perfect walking atoms to fund this little side quest. He unleashes his aura to scan the dungeon, immediately locking onto their location, and with a predatory grin, confirms he has found 4 potential targets. Jinquin tells his priest to pack up the altar since it is time to go find their walking atoms, and it turns out one of those kids, Li Hongbin, is already being confronted over a spirit bead, with some other punk demanding he just hand over the loot without a fight. This new guy recognizes Hongbin as an outcast from the Li family, questioning how he even got in here. But Hongbin just fires back, calling him trash from the rival Zhao family. This Zhao kid smirks, explaining a family rule where disgraced members can replace those who fail an assessment, basically asking if Hongbin's relatives already got themselves eliminated from the dungeon. That insult definitely lands because Hongbin explodes with dark energy, telling the guy to back off, which has the Zhao kid's bodyguards screaming that he is about to attack. And with a demonic transformation, Hongbin lunges for the bead, declaring it is his for the taking. This Zhao kid's bodyguards immediately leap forward to intercept Hongbin's attack, while their boss just mocks the abandoned child for even trying to fight back, and their powers collide with enough force to completely shatter the icy ground, which is the perfect show for Jinquin, who decides to just sit back and watch the tigers fight. As Hongbin continues his desperate lunge straight for that spirit bead, believing it is his one ticket to rank up and finally return to his family, but a masked bodyguard easily parries his demonic claw with a chain whip, wrapping it around Hongbin's arm and stopping his momentum cold, smugly telling him he is about to be disappointed before yanking him off balance, and then whipping the chain right back to impale Hongbin clean through the chest. That chain whip attack sends Hongbin crashing to the ground, ending his desperate charge, but even while defeated, he is still screaming that the spirit bead belongs to him, which is when the Zhao kid spots Jinquin's companion, realizing a high-rank priest is watching them, while one of his own bodyguards admits he completely underestimated the abandoned child's true strength, lamenting that his own plans for a breakthrough just went up in smoke thanks to Hongbin's power. This Zhao kid then turns his attention to Hongbin, questioning why his family sent him on such a high-level mission, and it turns out Hongbin was sent here to retrieve a mysterious emblem he stole and then lost. He warns the kid that his uncle is the type to eliminate anyone who gets in his way, a not-so-subtle threat, and Jinquin immediately realizes the mysterious emblem is the guild token he just picked up. A realization that also hits the Zhao kid, who suddenly looks a lot less confident than before. Just as the fight wraps up, the Zhao kid senses another presence and demands they show themselves, which has Jinquin's priest companion immediately panicking that their cover is blown, and the rich kid confirms it, telling them the time for watching from the cheap seats is over. So Jinquin casually strolls out into the open, looking completely unbothered by the situation, telling them to just carry on with their family drama because he is only passing through, but one of the bodyguards recognizes his aura, realizing he is the monster who's been clearing the dungeon's lords. This Zhao kid, proving he has some sense, immediately tells his men to stand down, complimenting Jinquin's stealth before asking if he happened to overhear Hongbin's little confession. And our boy just plays it cool, while noting the priest with them has a very unusual energy signature. This kid then reveals Hongbin's uncle has the entire dungeon exit on lockdown, making everyone a suspect. This Zhao kid switches gears, suddenly offering Jinquin a partnership with a very smug look, but Jinquin is not buying it for a second, questioning why he'd ever trust this guy. This kid claims he has already done Jinquin a favor and drops a bombshell. He knows where Jurin is. That name instantly gets a reaction, leaving our boy completely stunned for a moment. But just as they are about to talk terms, a bodyguard yells that something big is coming their way. Right on cue, the ground shakes as a massive swarm of giant insect monsters bursts out, and the entire group is stunned as the horde of giant bugs completely surrounds them in seconds. While the rich kids panic about the blood attracting them, Jinquin is already midair, charging in, effortlessly one-shotting an elite bug guard as the system confirms another perfect efficiency kill. This leaves the Zhao kid completely speechless, realizing Jinquin's attacks are on another level entirely. So Jinquin decides he is done playing around and unleashes his Blade of Ruin skill, which manifests as a massive 3-stage demonic slash that just erases the entire swarm. This rich kid's crew can only stare in disbelief, realizing he just one-shot the whole horde, and Jinquin lands without a scratch, surrounded by the fading remnants of his attack. Instead of being scared, the Zhao kids start slow clapping, genuinely impressed by the show, immediately pivoting back to his partnership offer, promising spirit crystals and info on Jurin. Jinquin's interest is piqued, so the kid offers enough crystals for both him and the priest to rank up, and Jinquin accepts the deal on the spot, but with one very specific condition of his own. He wants the kid's bodyguard to teach his priest companion a few moves like that mind net skill. An act of pure broship that has the priest looking at him like he just found his new hero. This bodyguard agrees to the training, telling the priest to find him after they escape the dungeon, and the Zhao kid, impressed by their bond, snaps his fingers to make good on his promise, instantly summoning a massive pile of 500 spirit crystals, enough for both of them to rank up. Our priest is completely stunned, realizing this kid is so rich he even has spatial equipment. So with the deal sealed, Jinquin immediately gets back to business, demanding info on Jurin. This kid explains Jurin is a close friend who was poisoned, causing his class to regress, which prompts Jinquin to ask the one question that matters: did he enter the abyss? He confirms Jurin went his own way, asking if Jinquin plans on trying to catch up, but Jinquin clarifies he needs to know if Jurin found a cure for class regression, a vital issue for the Zhao family. Before the kid can answer, the entire cavern begins to shake, putting their little chat on hold. Right on cue, the Zhao kid's bodyguard yells that the whole cavern's energy field is destabilizing fast, and Jinquin calmly explains it is a chain reaction from the matriarch's death and the crystal finding a master. This has the rich kids freaking out since they know Hongbin's uncle is guarding the exit, guaranteeing a fight. But our boy just smirks, seeing this as the perfect chance to test his new powers on a real opponent. This bodyguard smartly suggests they rank up first for a better chance, and the rich kid agrees it is a good plan, so Jinquin leads them back to the massive altar they discovered earlier to get the process started. They step back inside the cathedral, where that grumpy frog statue is still waiting for its payment. And the priest immediately gets into position, ready to finally start his breakthrough ritual. He channels his energy, offering up the entire pile of 500 spirit crystals to the statue, which it happily accepts, enveloping both him and Jinquin in a powerful aura as they begin to level up. As the ritual kicks off, Jinquin is immediately confronted by a massive demonic spirit, which manifests as a towering armored warrior ready for a spiritual showdown. Meanwhile, the priest's own trial involves facing down a giant, holy-looking spider monster, but Jinquin is completely unfazed, dismissing his opponent as just a weak remnant thought. He proves it by effortlessly one-shotting the entire spiritual entity with a single slash, absorbing all of its dark energy into himself like a power-up smoothie. With the trial over in seconds, he just floats there, calmly completing his advancement. This system confirms it. He is officially a rank 4 demon swordsman at level 40. At the same time, his priest companion also successfully levels up, becoming a rank 4 radiant priest. Unfortunately for them, that massive power surge just alerted Hongbin's uncle waiting right outside the dungeon exit. Hongbin's uncle immediately feels the power surge, realizing this is no ordinary rank 4 they are dealing with. And back inside, Jinquin's potential is proving even more terrifying than the Zhao kid ever imagined. Meanwhile, the priest's own advancement trial was a flashy display of holy power, culminating in a massive burst of energy that solidified his new rank. He is absolutely thrilled to hit rank 4, celebrating his drastically improved healing and support skills, but the bodyguard cuts the party short, congratulating them before getting right back to business, reminding them it is time to go meet the eldest young master of the Li family waiting outside. Jinquin is more than ready for a fight, grinning that it would be rude to keep their host waiting, so the group makes their way to a train, which the Zhao kid explains is their ticket out of here. He clarifies that Hongbin's uncle is definitely guarding the exit, so everyone needs to be ready for a fight. On the train out, the Zhao kid's bodyguard asks Jinquin why it is only their small group here. while his female companion just crosses her arms, clearly unimpressed with the whole situation. This rich kid himself just tells them to get going, since no one else is coming along for the ride, which is fine by Jinquin and his priest, who are just kicking back and enjoying the free transport. With that, the train finally departs, speeding away from the dungeon and its drama, cutting to a totally different scene where Hongbin's uncle is waiting in his office for someone. He figures the kid he is expecting is not coming back, having not heard anything yet, but right on cue, his door bursts open and some poor kid on the floor gets drenched. This uncle is completely shocked, recognizing the intimidating newcomer as young Master Fang, who casually takes a drag from his cigarette before demanding he hand over the goods. Hongbin's uncle plays dumb, asking what stuff this new young Master Fang is even talking about. So Fang explains he had a rank 4 mage digging for something, who instead found a mechanical repair shop and lays out the accusation. Only the uncle was qualified to take the item from that shop, but the uncle denies everything, insisting he was only there for a flower and knows nothing about an emblem. Not buying it for a second, Fang just throws down a photo as some kind of proof, cutting to the chase and demanding he hand over the emblem right now. But a mysterious hooded figure suddenly appears, launching a surprise attack from behind, and the uncle looks genuinely shocked, proving this ambush was not part of his plan. That sneak attack connects hard, sending Fang flying right into the wall, leaving his companion to watch in horror as her boss gets taken down in an instant. This hooded figure's ambush connects hard, sending Fang flying across the room in a single hit. And as that fight gets interrupted, the scene cuts to Jinquin's train bursting out of a portal, finally making its grand escape from the collapsing dungeon and back into the real world. But waiting for them on the platform is a whole welcome party led by a guy they call Young Master Li, who just stands there looking incredibly serious as the train pulls right up to him. With the train stopped, it is clear the confrontation they were expecting is about to happen, just with a different person. Jinquin and the others step out, and the Zhao kid's bodyguard immediately recognizes the man in charge. He wonders aloud why the third young Master Li of all people would be waiting for them here, and Li is completely shocked, demanding to know how they got out since the dimension is not even open yet. Jinquin just smirks, casually explaining he has his own special ways of getting around. This Li kid cuts right to the chase, demanding they hand over all their spatial equipment, which has the Zhao kid's bodyguard powering up, telling him he is not worthy of robbing them, but Li just scoffs and orders his goons to attack anyway, only for Jinquin to blitz past everyone before they can even blink, effortlessly scattering the entire welcome party with a single devastating rush, leaving Li absolutely furious that some slave from the lower city is showing him up, while Jinquin lands with a ground-shattering stomp, clearly just getting started, and immediately barrels forward again, kicking up chunks of the platform as he charges, taunting Li that his crew is not even enough for a decent warm-up, which finally pushes the rich kid over the edge, unleashing his own aura and threatening Jinquin's entire city. Li completely loses it, summoning a massive spectral skull attack to grind Jinquin into dust, but our boy just leaps right into the green energy wave, blade at the ready, which catches Li off guard, forcing him to admit he underestimated Jinquin's speed. And for a second it looks like the sheer force of the attack is actually pushing him back, sending him flying across the platform in a pretty rough landing, which has the Zhao kid's bodyguard genuinely worried that Jinquin might be outmatched, while Li gets a smug look on his face, calling him out for overestimating himself, only for Jinquin's eyes to glow red as he asks if he is really sure about that, leaving the bodyguard absolutely stunned by what he sees next, because Jinquin has already blitzed behind Li, appearing out of nowhere to finish the fight. Li is left completely stunned, unable to process how he was just taken down so fast, while Jinquin stands over him, having ended the entire fight in a single, decisive flash, revealing his big charge was just a clever distraction for the real, fight-ending attack, which has the bodyguard absolutely floored by how quickly he handled the third young master, noting that Li had not even gone all out yet before his phone suddenly starts ringing, and it is his seventh uncle, who already knows they escaped and wants to meet up immediately, so the bodyguard eagerly agrees, looking like he just got the best news of his life, then hangs up and tells Jinquin he is taking him to meet someone important. Revealing their destination is a meeting with his boss, the young Master Zhao himself, and with that settled, the scene shifts as they head off to meet the real shot caller. This bodyguard wastes no time, arriving at a private estate to report to his seventh uncle, and a man with a pretty serious scar peeks out, clearly the guy he just called, who seems relieved to see him, immediately welcoming his nephew and the whole crew inside. But as Jinquin and the priest follow them in, the uncle gets his first real look at them, and his friendly demeanor instantly vanishes, replaced by a look of pure shock, though he still ushers them into a private room, trying to keep his composure, where the bodyguard gets straight to the point, reporting that Zhu Jiangxing died in the dungeon, which has the uncle demanding answers, learning he was apparently set up by someone named Jai Linger. And while the uncle frets about political chaos, the bodyguard relays a direct order from their boss, telling him to master all 6 skills before adding that there is one more thing. This uncle immediately zeroes in on Jinquin, asking how he ended up with their crew, which has the bodyguard wondering if his seventh uncle actually recognizes our boy, and the uncle drops a bombshell. He does not know Jinquin, but he knew his father from the Diwu family, correctly identifying him as Diwu Jinquin, the eldest son of a man he thought was long gone. He is completely baffled since all his intel said Jinquin was a talentless nobody who could not awaken, so Jinquin just coolly explains that a mysterious figure named Jurin helped him out, and hearing that name makes everything click for the uncle, who now understands how he got so strong. But the bodyguard cuts in, asking for a casual loan of 200,000 spirit crystals from his uncle's legion. And the uncle, looking a little stressed by the request, just waves his hand and tells his men to bring it, prompting two guys to haul in a massive case, ready to hand over the goods. With business settled, the uncle slides over two spatial rings, each loaded with 100,000 crystals, and Jinquin's priest is absolutely floored by the casual generosity of their new business partners, while the bodyguard pays off a different guy in a blue cloak for his help in the dungeon. But when the guy says he is heading to a guard post, the uncle reveals it was destroyed yesterday, prompting the cloaked man to anxiously ask if they saw a certain ordinary girl there. This uncle confirms she was indeed there, but unfortunately got taken away by someone named Fang Huai, and after learning the girl saved his life, the bodyguard casually offers to get her back with a phone call. This cloaked man is overjoyed, immediately taking him up on the incredibly simple offer. As the scene cuts to a fancy high-rise where some rich kid is relaxing in a bath, and his attendant reports that the very same girl he brought back has finally woken up. Back at his penthouse, Fang Huai grills the girl he captured, asking what her brother gave her before he died, and shows her a replica of the purple emblem he has been searching for this whole time. She just stays silent, which is clearly not the answer he was hoping to hear. So he loses his temper and slams his fist down, demanding she watch her mouth. This poor girl gets knocked back by the sudden outburst, completely terrified by the situation, and she looks up at him with tears in her eyes, but before he can continue his little tantrum, his phone lights up with a text from the bodyguard's crew offering a trade for her. This offer is a sand heart flower, which makes Fang Huai jump out of the bath in total shock. Because apparently that flower is a big enough deal to completely change his priorities, so he grabs the girl and tells her she is coming with him to make the exchange. Just as promised, the bodyguard's men are waiting outside to make the big exchange, and when Fang Huai arrives, he immediately confirms they are working for the Zhao family, so the bodyguard's man gets straight to business, offering the flower for the girl. And with the terms agreed upon, the briefcase is officially handed over to Fang Huai, who pops it open to reveal the genuine glowing sandheart flower inside, which has him absolutely ecstatic since this means someone named Ayan will not die. And with the deal done, the girl is told a friend sent them to get her. But when she hears that friend is Jinquin, she is stunned he actually pulled it off. Meanwhile, back at the office, the uncle reassures the cloaked man not to worry. And the cloaked man is so grateful he asks how he can possibly repay this massive debt. This uncle offers a deal, help him with a class breakthrough, and the massive debt is paid, revealing he needs an escort into a secret undead dungeon called the Cursebone Cave, and the cloaked man agrees to the high-risk mission without a second of hesitation. Just then, the girl they rescued is brought into the room by a couple of bodyguards, and she immediately recognizes the cloaked man, shouting out his name, Jinquin. Overcome with emotion, she runs toward him as he opens his arms to greet her, crashing right into his chest while sobbing with pure relief and gratitude, and Jinquin just comforts her, promising she can stay by his side from now on. He then tells her he has a gift, pulling out a shiny golden coin, which has the uncle absolutely bugging out, recognizing it as a legendary emblem. Jinquin hands the girl the legendary emblem, telling her it is a gift, and the moment she touches it, a massive wave of power surges through her body as the emblem's energy erupts, lifting her into the air to begin her awakening, which has the uncle and his crew completely stunned by the sudden power-up. A system window confirms it. She is now a legendary heavy artillery controller, a class with some absolutely broken skills like weapon master and ultimate firepower enhancement. This girl can hardly believe it herself, shocked that she actually pulled a legendary class, and after the uncle congratulates her, she gives Jinquin a heartfelt thank you for changing her life. Jinquin immediately tells the uncle he is bringing her along on their dungeon dive, and the uncle agrees, admitting a legendary ranker is more than qualified for the job. Jinquin gives the newly awakened girl a quick lecture, warning her to keep her powerful emotions in check. And with that settled, he announces it is time for the whole crew to head out to the Cursebone Cave. But the uncle cuts in, ordering his men to get everyone suited up in proper battle gear first. So a few moments later, the entire party is getting kitted out in some fresh tactical uniforms, looking a lot more prepared for a high-level dungeon dive in their matching combat suits. Then they pop open a case full of goodies, revealing an entire arsenal of firearms and blades, which are apparently just basic Tier 1 weapons, but the girl is told to bind them with her ability, so she reaches out, activating her new legendary heavy artillery controller class, causing the weapons to glow and float towards her as she absorbs them with her power, leaving her completely stunned that the guns now feel like a literal extension of her own body. With the whole crew suited up, the uncle tells everyone to pile into his armored truck, explaining they're taking his crouching tiger since it is way safer than a public teleporter, and he boasts that this beast can tank hits from most monsters, assuming you can afford it, so with the plan set, he floors it and they speed off towards the dungeon zone. Their road trip takes them to the edge of a desert wasteland called the Les Peak Forest, where the uncle pulls out a map, showing the Cursebone Cave is 30 kilometers ahead. He briefs the team, noting this is an outer area with weak monsters perfect for a warm-up, so Jinquin tells the newly awakened girl to coordinate with the priest during the mission. But just as they are about to head out, the ground starts rumbling as something bursts from the sand, and the uncle immediately shouts a warning that they have already got company. A level 8 sand mist worm immediately bursts from the ground, kicking off their little warm-up. And the newly awakened girl instantly volunteers, taking aim with her newly acquired sniper rifle, while Jinquin gives her a quick lesson, pointing out the monster's weak spot on its head carapace. So she lines up the shot, taking a deep breath before pulling the trigger, and lands a perfect one-shot kill, even getting a system notification for punching above her weight class. Jinquin praises the clean hit, telling her to keep that rhythm as a whole swarm of worms appears. So he continues coaching her on the fly, telling her to lead her targets as she starts picking them off, which proves so effective that the remaining monsters just turn tail and flee for their lives. But just as the team starts to relax, Jinquin senses that something is definitely not right, because the grunts were just an appetizer for the real boss, a level 12 sand mist worm king. This rest of the crew immediately panics as the massive boss monster bursts from the sand. And it wastes no time spitting a nasty-looking acid beam right at them, forcing everyone to dive out of the way just as it scorches the ground. So Jinquin starts calling out tactics, telling the girl to aim for the weak spots at its joints, ordering her to use her ultimate firepower enhancement skill for a massive damage boost. So she activates the ability and leaps into the air, ready to line up the perfect shot, landing a direct hit that makes the giant worm king screech in absolute agony. And the shot clearly did some serious damage, leaving the monster stunned for a moment, which gives her the opening to start unloading round after round into its armored hide, while Jinquin yells for her to keep firing and not give the boss a single second to recover. This system confirms the kill, rocketing her straight to level 5 for taking down a boss solo, and she is absolutely thrilled with her first major win as a newly awakened hunter. Jinquin gives her some pro-gamer advice, telling her to remember that calm, precise feeling, so the uncle suggests they use the remaining time for a good old-fashioned power leveling session. They head deeper into a forest zone, immediately getting swarmed by a horde of insectoid monsters, which gives the new girl plenty of moving targets to practice her sharpshooting skills on, and after wiping out a huge mob, she gets another massive XP boost, hitting level 10. Officially advancing to Tier 1 and earning a big congratulations from the priest. After clearing the mobs, the whole crew takes a moment on a cliff to enjoy the view, but they have already been spotted by some local thugs who see a group of rich kids ripe for the picking. This bandit leader scoffs at the party, writing them off as a bunch of Tier 1 rookies, but he clocks their clean gear and immediately assumes they are rich kids loaded with loot. Meanwhile, the uncle calls for a break, announcing he has prepared a meal for the whole team and even gets a campfire going, promising them all the grilled meat they can handle. This kindness is too much for the girl, who tearfully thanks Jinquin for changing her life, so he comforts her, telling her he will be her new brother from now on. She is completely overwhelmed by the gesture, looking up at him with tears in her eyes, and then throws her arms around him in a grateful hug, calling him her brother. Of course, the local thugs are still lurking in the bushes, finalizing their ambush plans, and with everything in place, they are just waiting on the order to attack the party. One of the bandits suggests a more cautious approach, thinking Jinquin's crew might be tough, so his boss immediately volunteers him for the high-risk scouting mission. A job the guy clearly does not want, but he is ordered to take a few men and test the waters. When he tries to argue, his boss just smacks him and tells him to get a move on, and the sound of the scuffle immediately catches the girl's attention from across the clearing. She wonders what the noise was just as the bandits finally charge out of the bushes, which has the uncle's bodyguards instantly on alert as they prepare for the ambush. This poor sap who got volunteered leads the charge, screaming as he rushes forward, bringing his sword down hard on the nearest bodyguard, aiming for a quick kill, but the guard just casually catches the blade with his bare hand, leaving the bandit stunned. This bodyguard effortlessly stops the bandit's blade with his bare hand, not even breaking a sweat, and with a single powerful strike, he sends the entire squad of thugs flying backwards, which has the bandit leader completely stunned that a couple of random guards are this strong. His underling immediately suggests they cancel the operation, but the boss refuses to back down, deciding if he cannot win a fair fight, he will just have to resort to some dirty tricks. His new plan involves targeting the newly awakened girl while the party is distracted. Back at the camp, the girl looks over the defeated bandits, wondering what all the commotion was. And the uncle is absolutely furious that some local sand bandits dared to target his crew. Jinquin, completely unfazed by the interruption, just asks when they are heading into the dungeon, but the uncle explains the entrance to the secret realm only appears at night, so they have to wait. As night finally settles in, a flaming arrow suddenly streaks through the sky right towards their camp, completely unnoticed by Jinquin, who tells the girl he will take first watch so she can rest up. And she happily agrees, immediately conking out with a huge smile on her face, leaving Jinquin to watch over her, looking pretty content with his new little sister. Until a sudden shout of fire completely shatters the peace of the night, and he instantly snaps into action, ordering the startled girl to stay put no matter what, watching him and the bodyguards rush out to deal with the chaos erupting outside, where the uncle is already fuming that the sand bandits had the nerve to attack again. But Jinquin realizes this was just a distraction, a classic pincer move, and he spins around screaming her name, knowing their real target was the girl. Jinquin bursts out of the tent to handle the fire attack, but it hits him instantly. They fell for the oldest trick in the book, and the girl was the real target. At that exact moment, the bandits are already peeling out on bikes and in a truck. their leader laughing his head off about how easily he played the entire crew. He is already making some disgusting plans for his new captive, who is tied up and gagged in the back, completely terrified, and soon enough, the whole squad arrives back at their fortified desert base. They immediately drag the poor girl out of the vehicle and into the compound, tossing her onto the floor where she can only struggle against her restraints, horrified that she was snatched while she was supposed to be resting safely. Meanwhile, back in the tent, the girl realizes she is not alone as a strange gas fills the air, and it hits her a second too late that it is knockout gas designed to take her down quietly, which works perfectly, causing her to collapse before she can even scream for help. This bandits immediately storm the tent, celebrating their successful ambush and grabbing their target. Back at their base, the leader looms over her with a disgusting grin, revealing his awful intentions, telling her to just obey him and save herself from a whole lot of unnecessary trouble. But his villain monologue is cut short by a swift kick that sends him flying across the room, leaving him stumbling backwards, completely blindsided by the sudden, brutal interruption. He clutches his stomach in agony, absolutely shocked that anyone managed to find them this fast. And it is Jinquin who is already checking on the girl while the bandit leader rages about being attacked. This furious bandit leader orders his men to teach the girl a lesson while Jinquin is distracted, and one of his goons eagerly charges forward, completely ignoring the guy who just kicked his boss. Unfortunately for them, she summons two massive guns out of thin air, despite being tied up, unleashing a storm of bullets while flipping through the air, still completely bound and gagged, and giving them a look of pure, unadulterated chaos as she unloads on the entire room. Her wild barrage sends the bandits diving for cover, totally unprepared for this level of resistance, leaving the leader stunned that she can use her skills while restrained, calling her gutsy for fighting back. Meanwhile, the uncle's crew is already tracking them down, easily finding the bandits' tire tracks, and a scout confirms they are close, pointing out that the kidnappers are just up ahead. Another guard reports to Jinquin with the enemy base coordinates, so he orders them to lock on and move out. This uncle's guard tries to reassure Jinquin, saying the girl just hit level 10 and will be fine, while the bandits relax inside their heavily fortified desert compound, feeling untouchable, and the goons on watch are already gossiping about the boss's new captive, making some truly awful comments about what is going to happen to her that night. Their disgusting chatter is cut short when a lookout spots a vehicle barreling towards their front gate, a lone SUV kicking up a massive dust trail as it speeds across the wasteland, which screeches to a halt right at their main entrance, revealing two guards armed with rocket launchers. Jinquin confirms they have found the right place, exactly where the tire tracks led them, and the bandits on the wall just laugh, thinking some idiots are delivering a free car to their door. Unimpressed, Jinquin simply orders his team to blow the doors down and storm the base. His guards immediately let loose with a pair of rocket launchers, not even bothering to knock, and the rockets scream across the sand, making a beeline for the main entrance, connecting with a massive explosion that completely obliterates the fortified gate, which has the bandits inside scrambling in a panic, screaming for someone to kill the intruder. Jinquin just strolls in, calmly telling the mob he is only looking for someone and will leave peacefully, and when they ask who, he just says the girl's name, Lin Meng, with a dead serious look. This bandits just stare back, completely confused by his straightforward answer for a moment, until one of the goons starts laughing, making some truly disgusting remarks about the boss's plans for her. That comment instantly flips a switch, and Jinquin's entire demeanor darkens as he summons his sword. But the idiot just doubles down, mockingly repeating himself, completely unaware he just signed his own death warrant. This bandit's face drains of all color as he realizes he just made a fatal mistake, because in a flash, Jinquin moves so fast he is a blur, taking the guy out instantly, which sends the rest of the goons into a blind rage as they charge forward to avenge their fallen friend. Meanwhile, the uncle's guard just leans back against the SUV, completely unbothered by the whole scene. Jinquin effortlessly weaves through their clumsy attacks, not even bothering to block, before unleashing a massive whirlwind slash that engulfs the entire mob, and in a single devastating move, he completely neutralizes the entire attack force. This few bandits left standing can only stare in horror, wondering what kind of monster they just provoked, as Jinquin gives them a simple choice: surrender now or he will make them. They immediately throw their hands up, begging for their lives and promising not to stand in his way. This bandit leader is busy throwing a fit that his plans for the girl got interrupted, when one of his lackeys sprints in, screaming that somebody just broke into the base, which has the boss demanding to know who would have the nerve to attack them here, and it is Jinquin who calmly strolls in and asks if he is the one in charge. This leader's face completely drains of color as he recognizes the guy whose sister he just nabbed. But then the scene cuts to a flashback, with Jinquin learning his entire empire has been destroyed, and he desperately asks a chained old man to tell him who was responsible for the attack, but the man just warns him to forget revenge and focus on escaping before other cities fall too. Jinquin insists, arguing that the only way to truly escape is to understand the enemy first. So the old man reveals the invaders call themselves gods and sacrifice people to empower monsters. This old man explains these monsters gain intelligence, becoming what are known as divine envoys who possess the appearance and mind of a human, but it is all just a horrifying disguise for what they truly are. Underneath that human skin, they are actually overlord or even king-level monsters, and he reveals the entire Tianqi Empire has already been replaced by these creatures. To make matters worse, they are rapidly learning how to perfectly mimic human society, meaning no other faction in the wasteland will be safe from their infiltration, at which point Jinquin pulls out a scroll, asking if it is related to these envoys. This old man is completely floored, recognizing it as the Book of the Divine Envoy, so Jinquin explains he got it from a talking spider matriarch and just wants to know its purpose. This old man reveals the scroll is a mythic item for creating a class form crystal by fusing it with a human body, or a monster form crystal by using a monster, which basically lets someone unlock a second class. Jinquin asks if this means the whole empire is gone, and the man confirms the upper city has been totally wiped out. Hearing this, Jinquin offers to break him out of there, but the old man refuses to leave. He is already dying, afflicted with 7 different curses that make his survival completely impossible. His last request is for Jinquin to take his head after he dies, because a map to escape the region is hidden inside. One of Jinquin's companions can only watch in horror as the grim scene unfolds. As his life fades, the old man starts naming other people who are actually divine envoys in disguise, revealing that the commander of the Peregrine Falcon Sand Bandits is one of them, which has Jinquin shouting his name in shock. With his last breath, he begs Jinquin to tell someone named Yer not to seek revenge, before repeating his final, gruesome instruction. As the old man's body crumbles to dust, his final words wish Jinquin a safe trip, leaving Jinquin to grimly accept the absolutely metal task he was just given, and without flinching, he raises his sword to honor the man's last request, taking the head in one clean motion before the body completely disintegrates. Just as promised, the head glows, revealing the escape map hidden within it, and with their grim objective complete, Jinquin and his crew walk out of there. They regroup with the rest of their team, who have the getaway vehicle all prepped, and with no time to waste, they immediately peel out into the wasteland. Their SUV barrels through the desert, finally putting some distance between them and the fallen city. As the driver points out a ruined town ahead, collateral damage from the Holy City's mages getting wiped out, Jinquin's crew finally arrives at the ruined town, which is already looking pretty sketchy, and they are immediately swarmed by shady merchants trying to sell them all sorts of questionable services, including some guy pushing a weird medicinal wine with some very bold claims, until one of Jinquin's guards gets fed up and screams at the desperate crowd to back off. A teammate explains this place is just a lawless settlement for sand bandit refugees now, before pointing them to their actual destination, the dimensional land, which is their way forward. This whole team begins the long walk up a massive staircase toward the entrance, where a local official tells his own men to wait outside while he handles the newcomers, then turns to Jinquin's group and gives them the all-clear to proceed inside, only for them to discover the Grand Hall is a graveyard, littered with skeletons and bodies. Jinquin's crew surveys the boneyard, wondering how exactly they are supposed to enter the dimension, but their guide just tells them to watch closely as he climbs up a massive ribcage structure. He dramatically announces the portal is open, right as a giant skeleton forms the entrance, so Jinquin orders his team inside, making Lin Meng's level up the #1 priority. With their objective set, the whole squad dives straight into the swirling blue gateway, emerging on the other side into what looks like a sterile, endless museum hallway. Jinquin immediately gets a bad feeling, realizing this place is less of a dungeon and more of a lab. His instincts are proven right when the girl spots monsters ahead and instantly starts shooting. This team advances down the corridor, ready for whatever this weird dimension throws at them. And what it throws at them is a full-blown skeleton army rushing down the hall. One of the guards tries to play hero and cover the rear for the team, but Jinquin tells him to stand down since this is Lin Meng's personal leveling session. She is more than ready, whipping out a sniper rifle and promising to make him proud, and immediately starts mowing down the skeleton mobs with some impressive accuracy. It is so effective she gets a system notification for hitting level 15 in no time, excitedly telling Jinquin that these monsters are basically walking X-bags. Just as he is encouraging her, the team spots something new forming up ahead as another wave of monsters starts materializing out of the floor itself, revealing a much tougher-looking army of skeletons decked out in full battle gear. Lin Meng is not even slightly intimidated, just yelling, "Watch this," as she opens fire again. Her normal shots just ping right off the armored skeleton's shields, doing absolutely no damage, which has one of the guards pointing out that she cannot seem to break their defense. Lin Meng just scoffs, telling him that was just a warm-up for what is coming next as she activates her armor break skill, firing a single supercharged shot down the hall. This special round connects, instantly shattering the entire front line's shields and armor. Her teammates are floored, realizing her mythic class ability just ignores defense entirely. With their defenses gone, she immediately flips into the air, diving straight into the mob, pulling out dual pistols mid-flight to unleash a storm of bullets on the helpless skeletons. She even lands with a blade, ready to finish off the survivors with some close-quarters flair, leaving nothing but a pile of shattered bones where the skeleton army once stood. With the last of the skeletons shattered, she finishes her combo in style, proudly announcing she is done and has already hit level 20 in record time. Jinquin is genuinely impressed, admitting her leveling speed is way faster than his ever was, but their celebration is cut short when she spots something materializing right behind him, a massive flaming wolf monster that spawns in with a deafening roar. He immediately whips around, screaming for her to get back as he tries to shield her. But she is completely frozen in shock, staring down the new boss monster. This wolf moves instantly, swatting her away and sending her flying across the room, which was a spectacularly bad move because Jinquin's protective brother mode just went critical. He explodes with rage, lunging forward to personally dismantle the creature that dared to touch her. He goes absolutely berserk, lunging straight at the wolf that dared to touch his sister. and their clash creates a massive shockwave of pure force and fire, but the monster's raw power is too much, sending him flying backward from the impact as he is thrown across the hall, barely managing to absorb the devastating blow, which has Lin Meng screaming out in panic, asking if he is okay. Jinquin just digs his sword into the ground to stop his momentum, glaring at the beast with a new level of intensity, realizing this is no ordinary mob. So one of the guards decides to be a hero and rushes in to help right as mysterious black chains suddenly erupt and bind the massive wolf, confirming it is a lord-level boss that they will have to fight together. This guard holding the chains starts screaming at Jinquin to slash him, which is a totally normal battle strategy, explaining he is linked to the Wolf King and can transfer any damage he takes directly to it, so if Jinquin attacks him, the boss is the one that is actually going to feel it. And Jinquin, always down for a wild plan, agrees and says he will not be holding back. He immediately unleashes a massive, glowing sword strike right at his own teammate, and the damage transfer works perfectly, making the wolf monster howl in absolute agony, as the attack erupts in a huge explosion that completely vaporizes the boss in one shot. With the monster gone, all that is left behind are a couple of glowing loot drops, prompting Jinquin to compliment the guard, Zhao Liubai, on his incredibly useful skill, and he tosses him the loot but warns him not to celebrate since this dungeon has only just begun. Still feeling himself after that last fight, Zhao Liubai confidently tells everyone to follow him, pointing to a grand set of doors that he claims is the only way to clear the stage. Without waiting for a signal, he shoves the heavy doors open to lead the way. And he and another guard immediately rush through the doorway, eager to get this over with. But Jinquin and the others barely have time to react before things go sideways, as a massive cage slams down from the ceiling, trapping the two overeager guards inside. Lin Meng screams out for them while the rest of the team can only watch in shock, but Zhao Liubai immediately yells for them to stay back, knowing it is a trap. This cage then erupts in flames, and his companion starts taking heavy damage from the heat, engulfing the entire structure in a fiery vortex that spells certain doom for those inside. With his companion getting roasted, one of the guards tries to smash the cage, but the bars will not even scratch. So Zhao Liubai, still feeling himself after the last fight, steps up to show him how it is done, unleashing a massive sword strike right into the burning metal trap, which actually connects with enough force to start shearing right through the bars, slicing a clean opening and letting the two trapped guards scramble out of the fire, leaving his buddy completely stunned that brute force somehow worked for once. Jinquin immediately orders everyone to move, getting a bad feeling that they are being watched, but just as they regroup, the eerie sound of a piano starts echoing through the hall, putting Jinquin on high alert as he realizes that trap was just the opening act, and at the far end of the room, a skeletal figure at a grand piano welcomes them. This skeletal pianist, a level 39 domain lord, smugly welcomes them as the 67th batch of music appreciators, which immediately raises the question of what happened to the other 66 groups, and the warden casually stands up to explain that they were not qualified listeners, so he just wiped them all out. A teammate confirms this is the warden, and beating him is the only way to meet the overlord, so he asks Jinquin if he is confident, who admits he actually enjoys taking down lord-level bosses. Unfortunately for them, the warden overhears this little bit of bravado, and with a smirk, he invites them to enjoy his performance before slamming his hands on the keys, which unleashes a massive attack, prompting Zhao Liubai to scream for Lin Meng to get behind him. As the entire team is forced to scatter while purple energy spikes erupt all around them, Zhao Liubai barely manages to block the warden's relentless barrage of energy spikes, forcing another teammate to pull him back before he gets completely overwhelmed by the attack, right as a different guard activates her own skill, projecting a massive glowing axe sigil, and she screams that she will not let the skeletal pianist hurt any more of her friends, which is the exact opening Jinquin needed to finally make his move through the chaos, effortlessly weaving through the storm of purple energy to close the distance, much to the warden's annoyance, who cannot believe someone would refuse to appreciate his music. But Jinquin could not care less, getting right in front of Lin Meng to shield her from the boss, declaring that anyone who dares to touch his sister is going to die, period. And the warden just smirks, saying he is just like all the other rebels he has crushed before. This warden whines about Jinquin's lack of artistic sense mid-fight, but Jinquin just yells back that he is the one being noisy, unleashing a furious combo that shreds right through the boss's defenses, which makes a teammate scream a warning that the warden's about to self-destruct, and sure enough, a massive explosion of purple energy erupts from the piano, sending Jinquin stumbling back from the sheer force of the blast, which has Lin Meng screaming out for her brother in a total panic. But the warden just stands there, starting another villain monologue about how he has seen it all before, confidently declaring that all rebels eventually meet their end at his hands, right before he gets absolutely blasted from the side by a surprise attack. Turns out Jinquin was not just bluffing, landing a clean strike on the monologuing warden, who does not even get a final word in before getting completely taken apart by the attack. This boss drops some insane loot, including a gold rank skill that grants temporary invincibility, which Jinquin happily scoops up, amazed he actually scored a legendary skill from this fight. But his teammate points out the real prize, an overlord ticket needed to clear the stage, and without a second thought, Zhao Liubai grabs the ticket and activates it instantly, causing a massive teleportation circle to erupt right under the entire team's feet. He confidently announces they are off to see the Overlord as they are all whisked away, only to land in a suspiciously serene field with a giant pink tree filled with screams for help, revealing the beautiful scenery is actually a massive graveyard piled high with previous challengers. They land in the Overlord's chamber where two other challengers are already getting wrecked by a massive snake boss, who is busy monologuing about how these two took a shortcut right into becoming his next meal, leaving the pair desperately looking for any chance to escape the unwinnable fight. This snake overlord just mocks them, saying they are not going anywhere until he has had his fill, and as it unleashes a massive energy attack, the two notice something new happening behind them, because Jinquin and his entire team just teleported right into the middle of the boss fight. This guards immediately realize their luck is awful, spawning directly in the Overlord's aggro range, but the other two guys see this as a golden opportunity for the newcomers to be a distraction, planning to use Jinquin's team as bait so they can finally make a run for it. Unfortunately, the Overlord does not care about their plans and just starts charging a massive beam attack. This Overlord's beam barrels straight toward the newly arrived team, prompting a desperate scream for everyone to get out of the way, and the two original challengers barely manage to dive clear of the blast, which erupts in a massive explosion right where they were standing, much to the snake's surprise, who actually seems annoyed they dodged it. Lin Meng, safe for now, immediately calls out to check on her brother's team, but Jinquin just yells for her to stay back, knowing she is no match for this thing. This Overlord, now in a humanoid snake form, dismisses them all as ants, and launches another attack on the two guys, mocking their arrogance for challenging him, sending one of them flying from the sheer force of the blow. This two original challengers regroup, realizing this Overlord's power is on another level entirely, and they decide their only shot is to team up and face it head-on, but the snake boss just scoffs at them, powering up with some seriously dark energy, and unleashes a massive swarm of demonic bats while mocking their attempt to fight a god. One of Jinquin's teammates immediately throws up a hexagonal shield to block the incoming wave, but the sheer force of the swarm shatters the barrier, sending the defenders flying back. Seeing an opportunity, Zhao Liubai tells Jinquin he will play support and create an opening, activating his chain ability once again to bind the Overlord from a distance. And he screams that the boss is trapped, giving Jinquin the perfect chance to attack, so our boy, now in his masked form, rushes in to land a decisive blow. Jinquin charges forward, unleashing a devastating sword strike on the bound Overlord, who just roars about them being mere mortals, completely unimpressed by the setup as the attack lands in a massive, screen-shaking explosion of power, which has the guards celebrating way too early, already asking if they won the fight. But when the smoke clears, the Overlord has completely vanished from sight, leaving Zhao Liubai to realize their target just pulled a disappearing act. Turns out the snake boss teleported right behind one of the other challengers, smugly monologuing about his divine power, prompting Zhao Liubai to scream a desperate warning for Jinquin to watch out, right as the Overlord unleashes a brutal whirlwind-style attack on our boy. And Jinquin gets blasted back, gritting his teeth from the force of the blow. But Jinquin just tanks the hit, activating a brand new skill called the Bone Sword Cannon, his hair turning white as he taps into his Slayer and Indomitable will abilities, which manifests a massive skeletal avatar that perfectly mirrors his every move. Lin Meng realizes those are the two legendary skills he just picked up from the last boss, leaving the Overlord completely stunned that someone not only survived but got a power-up. With his new abilities active, Jinquin raises his sword for a final decisive strike, unleashing a colossal beam of energy that tears right across the battlefield, and the Overlord can only scream in denial as the attack completely engulfs him. This strike is so powerful it literally carves a path of destruction through the entire stage, leaving the other challengers speechless as Jinquin gets a notification for a solo kill and a level up. With the Overlord completely erased, Jinquin lands back on the ground without a scratch, prompting his teammates to rush over, worried he might be hurt after that insane attack, but he just brushes them off, pointing out the boss dropped even more high-tier loot, which gets everyone hyped when they realize it is another legendary grade drop, revealing a pair of gloves with a nasty binding skill that can completely immobilize a target, and one of the guards immediately declares that Jinquin gets first dibs on everything, so his buddy tosses the new gear over without any argument, leaving Lin Meng absolutely thrilled that her brother scored such an amazing item. But Jinquin cuts the celebration short, reminding them they still need to escape this place. Right as a teleportation portal opens up, which they figure is their ticket out of here. This portal activates, engulfing the entire team in a blinding flash of light and whisks them away from the destroyed boss arena in a swirl of energy. They land safely outside, finally free from the dungeon, though Lin Meng is clearly wiped out. She immediately tells Jinquin she is starving, so he promises to find them something to eat. 10 minutes later, the crew is walking through what looks like a safe town square, and Jinquin spots a tavern, confidently leading everyone inside for a well-deserved meal, only to find the place completely trashed with passed-out patrons everywhere, a real 5-star establishment. This bartender, looking a bit surprised, finally notices his new customers standing there, but Jinquin, unfazed by the chaos, just asks what is on the menu. And the bartender's mood instantly flips, eagerly promising them anything they want. One of the guards is just happy to finally get some snacks after that whole ordeal, so Jinquin orders a massive feast for the entire team, paying for it all up front, but flashing a huge spirit crystal-like that immediately draws the wrong kind of attention, and Lin Meng instantly picks up on the bad vibes from a group of thugs staring them down. Zhao Liubai confirms her suspicion, realizing their little display of wealth just painted a target on their backs, and sure enough, the thugs roll up and try to shake them down for their crystals. This blue-haired guard immediately volunteers to handle these robbers herself, pulling out her own sidearm, but the lead thug just scoffs, telling her to get lost before she gets hurt, which she finds hilarious, mocking them for trying to act tough with their little fire sticks. And that insult is enough to make the guy absolutely lose it, pointing his weapon right at her. But before the thug can even react, the guard just kicks the weapon right out of his hand, flipping through the air while mocking them for being way too slow for this fight, and she immediately opens fire, proving she is not the one they should have messed with, which sends the entire group of thugs into a panic as they get completely overwhelmed, leaving her to land perfectly after single-handedly neutralizing the whole crew in seconds. Just then, a slow clap starts from the staircase, coming from a guy who is clearly impressed, and he compliments her on her extraordinary skills after that little performance, but she is not taking any chances, immediately aiming her weapon at him and demanding to know who he is, though he just plays it cool, telling her to relax and inviting the whole team upstairs for a drink. An offer that Jinquin and the others seem to be seriously considering from their table. This mysterious stranger leads them upstairs to a private room, politely inviting them inside for that drink. But the moment he opens the door, his friendly demeanor vanishes, replaced by pure shock, because his friend Akyang is sitting inside with a seriously unsettling look on his face. This host immediately panics, asking his buddy what is wrong and if he is completely wasted, which is Jinquin's cue to realize this is definitely a trap, warning his team to stay alert. Before anyone can react, Akyang gets slammed to the ground by some unseen force as a monstrous tiger spirit erupts from his back, its eyes glowing with a menacing light. Their host can only stare in horror as his friend gets up, now surrounded by a dark aura, revealing Akyang has transformed into some kind of ghoul, complete with fangs and claws. And he lunges straight for the host, offering him a drink that is definitely not on the menu. Their host screams for help as his possessed friend lunges forward to attack, but gets absolutely blasted by a flying kick before he can even land a hit courtesy of Jinquin's team, who realize this ghoul has the aura of a divine envoy. And the possessed man is furious that they dared to interrupt his little party, roaring that they are all dead for getting in his way as he rushes them again. Jinquin, completely unfazed, steps in with his sword already glowing to intercept, effortlessly parrying the ghoul's claw strike and stopping the monster cold, which gives Zhao Liubai the perfect opening to land a clean kick of his own, connecting with enough force to send the creature stumbling across the floor, and the possessed man gets launched back, completely outmatched by their teamwork. This possessed man writhes on the ground, completely stunned by their coordinated attack. While their host panics and Zhao Liubai confirms this thing has the aura of a divine envoy, he gets back up, screaming that they are all dead for daring to interfere with his master. But Zhao Liubai has no time for threats and just slams him back down again. With the ghoul handled for now, the team realizes a divine envoy's presence makes escaping this town a huge problem. At that exact moment, another one of the host's men runs in looking absolutely terrified. And the host demands to know what could possibly be happening now. This man frantically explains that the entire town has erupted into a riot, trying to steal their car, as the divine envoy's aura drives the crowd into a frenzy, completely swarming their only escape route. Jinquin, hearing everything, immediately orders his team to move out and save their guards before they are overwhelmed. Jinquin's team immediately books it out of the tavern, heading straight for their ride. And as they run, his teammates agree something is seriously wrong and they need to escape now, with the host who tried to trap them now begging for an escort, terrified of being left behind. Unfortunately, their guards are already getting swarmed by a frenzied mob trying to steal their combat vehicle, prompting one of them to desperately yell for his partner to find a way to break through the horde. But the sheer number of people is too much, and they start getting overwhelmed by the attack, as his partner realizes they are completely surrounded, making any kind of escape look impossible. Meanwhile, a well-dressed, clawed individual watches the chaos from a rooftop, looking completely bored by it all, revealing this is the divine envoy himself, who is annoyed he finally has to intervene personally. And back on the ground, one of Jinquin's crew feels that overwhelming pressure, pinpointing the envoy's location. This guards are getting absolutely wrecked by the mob, with one already down for the count, as the frenzied crowd screams about their divine envoy being invincible and how they should just surrender, insisting the combat vehicle is only fit for their master as the guard prepares to go down swinging. But he is completely swarmed before he can even make a move, screaming as the horde closes in. Suddenly, a massive blast of dark energy tears through the crowd, courtesy of the divine envoy himself, leaving the remaining townsfolk completely stunned and wondering who just interfered. This guard looks up to see the envoy standing there, surrounded by a seriously menacing aura, and the bossman tells him to step back, claiming he will handle things from here, which is Jinquin's cue to finally arrive on the scene, much to the guard's complete shock, and our boy is not amused, declaring no one steals his ride before landing with a massive lightning shockwave. This guards are beyond relieved to see their young master finally arrive to save the day, and Zhao Liubai immediately tells Jinquin to forget the small fry and focus on the divine envoy, which is no problem for our boy, who is already locked onto the boss's aura on a distant rooftop. This possessed mob is not having it though, screaming that he is not worthy and has to get through them first, and one of them immediately lunges forward to prove their point, kicking off the brawl. Up on the roof, the divine envoy is just glad someone interesting finally showed up, so he unleashes his power, deciding to see if Jinquin is actually worth his time, which sends a wave of dark energy through the crowd, juicing them up for the fight. Now fully empowered, the mob charges in, vowing to kill the team as a gift for their master, so Jinquin just tells Zhao Liubai to handle the grunts while he leaps over everyone to fight the envoy himself. Zhao Liubai dives into the mob with his chains, vowing to clear a path by taking every single one of them out, and his attack instantly shreds through the front lines, leaving the possessed townsfolk completely overwhelmed, which gives Jinquin the perfect opening to leap across the rooftops, heading straight for the divine envoy who is just chilling with a drink, thrilled that a strong opponent he can devour has finally arrived. And he crushes his glass, basically daring Jinquin to actually put up a decent fight for once. So our boy lands on the roof and they immediately clash, sword against claw in a burst of energy. But the envoy effortlessly blocks the strike, mocking Jinquin for being way too weak for this level, then follows up with a brutal punch that sends our boy stumbling back, completely caught off guard. And before Jinquin can even recover, the envoy grabs him by the hair and slams his head down, declaring that he is not even qualified to be his opponent, let alone a real threat. From a nearby rooftop, the blue-haired guard screams for the envoy to let her brother go, lining up a perfect shot to provide some much-needed long-distance backup, and she fires a powerful round straight at the boss's head, hoping to create an opening, but the envoy barely even flinches, deflecting the projectile with a simple flick of his hand, effortlessly catching the bullet between his claws like it was absolutely nothing. This guard is completely floored by his speed, finally grasping the insane power of a divine envoy, who then decides to use Jinquin as a projectile himself, launching him off the roof with a brutal throw, sending our boy crashing right through the tiles and into the building below with immense force. This envoy looks completely unimpressed, sighing that Jinquin was just another disappointment with no real challenge, leaving Jinquin buried in the wreckage, forced to admit the power gap is just way too big. His team can only watch in horror as the envoy chills on the rooftop, completely unfazed, while the guy who set the trap is absolutely losing it, realizing they are all dead meat now. Just then, Jinquin emerges from the rubble, telling Zhao Liubai he needs them to stall for time, admitting no one can beat this guy as they are, so he has got to risk a rank advancement. His crew is floored when he pulls out a Legion token, betting everything on this one move. He immediately channels his power, causing the token to erupt in a blinding flash of energy, which shoots a massive pillar of light into the sky as his team stands guard around him. Jinquin warns them to wait for his signal since he is a sitting duck during the process. Up on the roof, the envoy is actually amused, deciding to wait for a more entertaining fight. So Jinquin gets to cover and finally initiates his advancement, hoping this gamble pays off. Jinquin dumps over 500,000 spirit crystals into the system, officially starting his rank up trial, and the system immediately summons the trial boss he has to defeat to level up. Turns out his opponent is a giant, grumpy-looking fire frog known as the Spirit of Advancement, which immediately roars, unleashing a wave of fiery energy to kick things off, and the system confirms that beating this thing is his only shot at a successful rank up. This frog spirit wastes no time, immediately lunging forward to try and crush him, while back in the real world, Zhao Liubai is desperately holding off the possessed mob, knowing he has to wrap this up fast because Jinquin is completely vulnerable during the process. Back in the trial, Jinquin dodges the attack and leaps right onto the frog's back, plunging his sword deep into its head as the creature lets out a furious roar. Up on the roof, the divine envoy is just kicking back on a throne, looking completely unbothered, which has Jinquin's team completely confused, wondering why the big boss suddenly called a timeout, and his sniper realizes the guy is just arrogantly waiting for Jinquin to finish his rank up for a better fight. At that exact moment, the sound of engines suddenly roars through the abandoned streets. As a whole biker gang rolls into town, their leader immediately sensing the envoy's powerful aura. This envoy on the roof definitely notices the new arrivals. His interest finally peaked for a moment, and he looks down, basically wondering if another batch of cannon fodder has shown up to die. Turns out this new crew is from the Flying Eagle Empire, here to gather intel on the divine envoys. So their leader's brilliant plan is to have his men test the envoy's combat power firsthand. Back on the other roof, Jinquin's team spots the bikers, wondering where these new players came from. Jinquin's sniper cannot believe her eyes, wondering if these new guys are completely insane, but the biker leader is hyped, ready to test the legendary power of a divine envoy himself. So he unleashes a massive energy blast from his arm cannon, aiming to make a big impression, which flies straight towards the envoy, who just watches it come with a bored expression. This envoy sighs that these guys have no self-awareness, casually raising a hand to intercept, and he catches the building-busting energy beam like it is a slow-pitch softball. This bikers are absolutely speechless, realizing their boss's ultimate attack was just caught bare-handed, and their leader starts sweating bullets, confirming this envoy is way beyond rank 2 power levels. With a smirk, the envoy crushes the energy blast and decides it is his turn to play, leaping off the roof to launch a devastating counterattack right back at them. This biker's crew scrambles to throw up a shield, trying to protect their boss from the incoming attack, but the envoy's counterstrike just rips right through their pathetic defense, sending the entire squad flying like bowling pins in a single, effortless sweep. Their leader is left standing there completely stunned, realizing he might have made a tiny miscalculation, and the look on his face is pure unadulterated regret as the envoy closes in. This bossman, now sporting a tiger mask, grabs him by the head, annoyed that these clowns ruined his fun before declaring it is time for this whole crew to take a permanent vacation. This biker leader is absolutely paralyzed, finally understanding there was never even a chance to fight back. So the envoy just casually backhands him with enough force to launch him across the town square, and follows through with a brutal slash that takes out the rest of the gang for good measure. Just as the envoy is about to finish him, the biker leader is suddenly frozen in place by an unknown force, leaving him completely stunned and wondering who the hell just stepped in to save his life. And right on cue, the pillar of light from Jinquin's advancement trial finally fades away, revealing our boy standing there having successfully completed his power-up. Now radiating a powerful demonic aura, Jinquin declares he is the real opponent, his new level 40 stats on full display, which has his team absolutely ecstatic, realizing their young master actually pulled it off. This divine envoy, on the other hand, just finds this whole development incredibly amusing, casually tossing aside the biker's sword like it is a piece of trash. And he starts powering up, glad the wait was not a total waste and he finally has a decent fight. So Jinquin meets his energy, channeling his own demonic power into his blade for round 2. Jinquin immediately goes on the offensive, vowing to put an end to the envoy's rampage, leaving the biker leader on the ground completely stunned by his sudden burst of speed. And with a furious battle cry, our boy closes the distance to unleash his newfound power, launching a massive, cross-shaped energy slash covered in some seriously creepy demonic eyes. This envoy seems to think this is a great opportunity, hoping to devour Jinquin for his own rank up. So he meets the attack head-on with a blast of his own purple energy, causing a huge explosion, but Jinquin is already leaping through the smoke to deliver a follow-up strike called the Blade of Ruin. This envoy is actually forced back by the sheer force of the attack, clearly not expecting this much power, and he looks down at his arm in disbelief, realizing Jinquin actually managed to wound him. That tiny scratch is enough to make him snap, roaring that the Tier 4 brat is about to die. Jinquin's powered-up slash slams into the envoy with a massive shockwave of red energy, catching the tiger-masked boss completely off guard with its overwhelming force. And he is sent flying, unable to believe a simple blade technique could hit this hard. Now absolutely furious, the envoy roars that Jinquin is about to die for that stunt, but our boy just scoffs that he is not even qualified to make that threat, closing the distance with a confident smirk, ready to prove him wrong for good. He then unleashes his true power, summoning a massive spectral blade of dark energy, which rips right through the envoy, who can only scream in absolute agony, getting blasted back as the demonic power completely overwhelms his defenses. Down on the ground, the biker leader is just speechless, wondering if he just saw someone actually kill a divine envoy. His team is absolutely losing their minds, celebrating the fact that their boy actually pulled off the rank up, while the envoy, still pinned by the blade, finally admits he was way too careless with this kid, so in a desperate move, he transforms into a massive red tiger, letting out a furious roar. But Jinquin just smirks, seeing it as nothing more than a last-ditch effort to survive. Instead of attacking, the giant beast just barrels right past him, launching itself over the rooftops and making a full-blown retreat which nobody saw coming. Our boy is left completely baffled, realizing this divine envoy actually knows when to run away, and down below, the biker leader is recording the whole thing, realizing he has got proof envoys can be beat. As his team gathers, Jinquin admits he was just lucky the guy did not fight to the death, and when the sniper rushes over to check on him, he just shrugs it off as a minor injury. This biker leader, having survived his little miscalculation, urges everyone to leave before the envoy returns, offering to give Jinquin's crew a lift back, figuring they should all get out of town together, but right as they are about to go, some other guy comes sprinting over, yelling for them to wait, leaving Jinquin's team to just watch, confused, as the new dude finally catches his breath, and he introduces himself as Lin Fei, captain of the Flying Eagle Empire's advance team. When Jinquin asks what he wants, Lin Fei awkwardly asks for his contact information after that whole display, but our boy just shuts him down cold, not even bothering with an explanation. So as they walk away, Lin Fei desperately asks for his name at the very least, and Jinquin casually drops it over his shoulder without breaking his stride. His teammate cannot help but tease him about gaining a fanboy as they finally decide to head home. Back on the street, Lin Fei is frantically taking notes, making sure his superiors hear about Jinquin, while our boy and his crew are already hitting the road, leaving the whole mess behind them. Inside the car, Zhao Liubai asks what is next, knowing Jinquin is interested in exploring new dimensions, wondering if the plan is to immediately start hunting for another world to conquer. Jinquin basically confirms it, admitting that constantly leveling up is the only way he feels secure. So with their new objective in mind, the team finally makes their way back towards Redstone City. Once they arrive at their base, Zhao Liubai hops out, ready to finally call it a day, telling their sniper Lin Meng that she is free to head home after all the hard work. But Bai He suddenly runs over, asking if he can just stick with Jinquin from now on. Jinquin's a bit confused, but the guy doubles down, insisting he is not going home and wants to stay. Bai He suddenly pipes up, saying he just got some hot intel about a new dimension, explaining his family tipped him off about a massive minor recruitment drive in Redstone City. So the team immediately heads over to the shantytown to investigate the lead. And sure enough, they find a huge line of guys waiting to sign up for some kind of job. Jinquin and his crew arrive on the scene, trying to figure out what is going on, and he immediately assumes these guys are all lining up to enter the dimension he is looking for. Some random dude pops up to correct him, clarifying they are miners being sent asterisk into the dimension to work, introducing himself as a local scalper who can totally get them inside for a price. which obviously piques Jinquin's interest, so he asks how exactly that would work, and the guy explains they need a miner's permit, which he can get them for 10 gold coins each. Jinquin agrees to the price, making it very clear this better not be some kind of scam, so the scalper just grins and eagerly leads them down a dark alleyway to a hidden spot. He pulls open a sketchy-looking cellar door right in the middle of the street, explaining this is actually the entrance to an underground bar where his brother handles the permits. After ushering them down a long flight of stairs, the whole setup feels incredibly suspicious, until they reach a heavy door at the bottom with their guide announcing they have arrived, and he throws the doors open to reveal, of all things, a packed underground nightclub. This place is absolutely bumping with a DJ and a full-on dance floor in the middle of nowhere. So their guide leads them through the chaos, completely at home in this environment, revealing this is the Black Dragon Gang's turf and his brother is a captain who can hook them up. This scalper barges into a back room, proudly announcing he has brought his brother some new clients, who turns out to be a big shot with a dragon tattoo, clearly annoyed by the interruption. Their guide quickly explains that Jinquin's crew is here to buy work permits for the new dimension, and the gang captain sizes them up, looking thoroughly unimpressed by the whole situation. He asks if they even know the price, testing to see if they are serious customers or just wasting his time, but Jinquin steps forward, confirming the 10 gold coin fee and requesting 3 permits. Satisfied with the answer, the brother just snaps his fingers to have an underling fetch the documents, and after they are brought over, Jinquin specifies it is strictly cash on delivery. This exchange is made, with a heavy bag of gold traded for the 3 paper permits, and when the scalper asks if they are legit, Jinquin coolly promises they do not cheat anyone. With the permits secured, Jinquin's crew is just about ready to leave, hoping the intel was legit, but their exit is cut short when a rival gang suddenly kicks down the club's front door, bringing the entire underground party to a dead stop as everyone freezes in confusion. This new arrivals announce they are the Blood Wolf Gang, here to shut down the Black Dragon's operation, and their leader orders his men to search the place, making sure no one gets away. This club immediately erupts into chaos as panicked civilians try to avoid getting caught in the crossfire, leaving Jinquin's team in the back room, just listening to the sounds of a full-blown gang war. This scalper and his brother realize they are the primary targets and make a desperate break for it. And as the Blood Wolf leader spots them escaping, he orders his men to give chase, so Jinquin, completely done with this nonsense, just punches a dude to clear an exit path. As the Blood Wolf leader gives chase, he just misses the Black Dragon members escaping out a window, leaving him absolutely fuming that his primary targets managed to get away. Unfortunately, one of his goons points back into the room, flagging Jinquin's crew as their accomplices, which leaves our heroes completely stunned, now caught in a gang war they wanted nothing to do with.